All right, let's see. Go yet. Here we go. Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Future Ruins. It's been a minute or two since we've gotten to do one of these live streams with the boys here. And, I never really intended for this channel to be like all about live streams, but at the same time, like I'd never wanted to just completely abandon them. Since last year we had done quite a few. And then, we got our year end, I think it was like early January, the last one we did where we got all our year end for the 2022. And, since then, we've been planning on doing one kind of mid-year, and originally we were talking about doing June. It's just, everybody's obviously has busy lives, and so we finally were able to get this going. So it's better late than never for sure, 2 or 3 months. But lots to talk about, lots to just kind of see what everybody's up to and like what everybody's listening to. And that's kind of what this tonight's all about. We're not really doing anything too crazy in terms of the topic. It's just kind of everybody getting together and kind of talking about what we're spinning, new stuff, old stuff, what have we been up to hiking wise, and just kind of go from there. So, so real quick, I'll just give a quick channel update. My channel, if you watch, my videos are pretty few and far between. I don't post very regularly, but when I do, I try to make it the most. So I do have a new hiking video in the bag for anybody out there that digs the hiking videos. I've got one I just shot this past weekend, so I'm in editing right now, and hopefully I'll have it ready next week. So the next hiking video, I just put out a video. I was recently out in Scotland with family, and did like a 2-week trip out there. And so if you haven't checked that video out, that was the last one I did. Really was a lot of work, so that's kind of why it's been a while. Even though the summer is usually kind of when I want to shoot hiking videos, doing overnights and things like that. We're already into August, and I don't even have one yet. So, but it's coming, and I've actually got a few other ones before the end of the season as well. At least a couple more that I've got planned. So look out for that. It's coming soon. Just can kind of making the rounds when I can, just on the other guys' streams and whatnot. But without further ado, welcome, guys. Really great to see all of you guys. I want to just really quickly just say, like, if you're not following these guys on YouTube or Instagram, I've got all the links in the description of the video. And these guys are all doing really cool stuff. And please make sure you go follow them. And not only just for the hiking stuff, but these guys really, we all, exchange ideas constantly in terms of the new music that's out there and getting to check out new stuff. And it's like, you can definitely go down the rabbit hole with this crew here. So guys, welcome. Let's just do a real quick round table. I just want to hear just a few words, like what you're up to, what's going on with your channel. How's the hiking season been for you? So let's go ahead, and I also need to kind of remember how to do the controls here, because it's like been a little while. So Tyler, why don't we go ahead and start with you, man? Let us know how's things going with your channel, what you've been up to hiking.
Channel's kind of stalled out at the moment. My hiking season's been a little weak this year. Like, we had a lot of rain early in the season that kind of squashed a lot of potential trips and potential new vistas to film and put the video and all that stuff. So I've only really been getting out these last few weeks, and a couple of trips I went on, I got some video footage. I'm kind of going through it, not real inspired, because it's kind of similar stomping grounds to previous videos type thing, and I'm undecided if I really want to retread old ground or just wait until I do something actually new and just, I don't know, drag out the time for a new video. But I got stuff filmed, but it's just going through and just deciding whether or not I actually want to share it or not.
Right on, man. Well, we'll get into a little bit more of that later, because you posted some pics recently that we definitely want to hear about that trip. So we'll get into that. Ryan, man, dude, I just want to say it was great to meet you at the Emperor Show, and we had a great time. And it was, besides Stan, you're the only other guy here that I've gotten to meet in person. So that was, we've been talking for a couple of years, so that was a lot of fun. But yeah, man, what you been up to?
Yeah, it was great meeting both you guys. And I think I'm meeting Jimmy next month, hopefully. Or sorry, Russell for Agalock. So that should be really fun.
Nice.
Hiking wise, I've not been doing much. It's been normal heat levels for Southern California in the summer, but just kind of not been super inspired to get outside just due to the scorching heat. I've also kind of stalled out on my channel, similar to Tyler. Not for lack of good albums coming out, just sort of trying to. I don't know. I'm almost in like a rebranding period. I'm considering whether or not I want to keep doing just like one-off album reviews or try to do more like conversational stuff, or just I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what inspires me to keep wanting to make videos. So yeah, that's where I'm at. It's really looking forward to hearing everybody's picks tonight, and it's good to be back.
Right on. I'll just go clockwise here. So Russ, man, how's it going, dude?
Hey, good to see you guys. Yeah, going good. Yeah, stoked to meet you, Ryan. Is it next month? Are we in? No, we're not in September yet. Yeah, for the Agalock. Yeah, it should be rad. But yeah, just trying to do as much hiking as I can. Done some good trips. Unfortunately, I had a big plan this last weekend to do the enchantments. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the enchantment hikes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been planning on it for months to do just a through hike of it. Wake up super early, do it in a day. But the wildfire smoke had other plans, so unfortunately that didn't work out. It was like 300 AQI. It was absolutely terrible. Yeah, terrible smoke. But maybe later in the season I could do it. Maybe a fall hike. I don't know. We'll see. So that was a little disappointing, but we'll get to that later. Yeah. So as far as the channel, kind of the same. Like not a lot of videos lately. Working on, because I was in Poland recently, so I'm kind of working on like a Polish hiking. I just did a few hikes, so like a Polish hiking / just scenery tour video with of course a compilation of all Polish music and bands. So I'm working on that. That should be out soon, hopefully. And then after that, I don't know, maybe another Yule compilation video. We'll see. But yeah, slow going, but still trying to get one out there every once in a while. So yeah.
Yeah, man. We definitely want to hear a little bit about Poland and what you guys got to do out there. But yeah, dude, enchantments, that's one on my bucket list.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's been for a while. You have to get a permit, and every year it's just like no luck. And then, okay, I'm just going to do it in one day. And then the smoke hits just like for 3 days, when we were there. So it's unfortunate, but yeah. Just makes it all, it'll make it all the better once you finally get to do it.
Yeah, sure you will too. Yeah. Dan, dude, it's only just been a few minutes for us, man, but it's good to see you again, dude.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it's been ages, but yeah, it's good to hear your voice again, my brother Jimmy. We got to spend a ton of time this summer. It was awesome. Dudes, it's awesome to see all of you again. Ryan, it was incredible to get to meet you at what for me was certainly a highlight of the year, and definitely like a highlight of my life, getting to finally see Emperor after all these years. It's been a super eventful year for me, to say the least. Since I last saw all of you guys, I've had kind of like a major life of upheaval that certainly don't have to get into, but has definitely sort of changed my plans in general. But it did result in me being able to get out of the Northeast for 2 whole months, basically all of June and July, and kind of peace out to New Mexico and Colorado. My parents live in Albuquerque, obviously. Jimmy, one of my best friends, lives in Colorado Springs, and I was able to do a heck of a lot of hiking, climb a bunch of 12ers, 13ers, and 14ers in Colorado and New Mexico. Got to spend a lot of time my truck and doing some nice things to fix the truck up to kind of extend my possibilities for getting out and car camping and all of that. Yeah, it's been super great. Got to share a lot of new music with Jimmy over that time, and it's also been an exciting time for my band, Roomful of Teeth. We put out a new album in May, which I'm super excited about. It's kind of avant-garde, new vocal music sort of stuff, but very proud of it. It's of all of the things I've done in my musical career, it is 100% the pinnacle. Stoked about that, and we actually have a new collaborative album coming out on Friday with a really great string orchestra from Boston and an amazing piano soloist. Bunch of new music there too. So I don't do YouTube, but I have an Instagram, a couple of Instagram profiles, but the one that's devoted to hiking, I've actually done a lot of cool stuff with. I got into making reels and had a lot of fun with the mountain hikes that I did over the summer. So yeah, a lot of exciting developments. Musical life is super rich right now. I've got basically a whole fall that just packed with really cool projects. And actually on Saturday, I'm leaving for a week-long tour I'm going to Stockholm and Helsinki with a professional choir that I sing with in Philadelphia called The Crossing. That is a group that has won several Grammys for Best Choral Performance, and I've been singing with for almost the past year and have already done some recordings with. So lots of really cool stuff on that front for me.
Still waiting on my teeth final.
I know, man. I am too. Yeah, it shouldn't be too long.
Oh yeah.
We're all waiting on all of the pressings of the new Taylor Swift album or whatever, the million pressings or whatever of that to get out before we get our 300 copies of our little record. So yeah, it shouldn't be too long. I know it was kind of late July was the estimate, but I have on good authority that shouldn't be too long.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing I was wondering. I think we might have even talked about that. Do people actually buy physical copies that are into things like Taylor Swift, or do they just pull? You know what I mean? Like I gotta imagine there's vinyl out there.
You would be very surprised.
Yeah. I don't know if they're buying them, but they're certainly pressing them and taking up all of the time at the 2 pressing plants that are operational in the States or whatever it is now. It's something just terrible.
Yeah. Right on, guys. Well, yeah, let's just get right into it. I mean, like I said, tonight we're basically everybody wanted to just get together and just kind of talk recent spins, So I think the idea that we kind of had is that we were going to bring some new stuff up. Everybody's got whatever they want to show, but maybe some old stuff as well. The way we did things last year, I think we did 3 streams and let's see. Well, Rachel's probably got a vinyl variant, so. I would expect, somebody to have it. So, and by the way, because my cousin posted pictures because she went to the show in Nashville, I think it was insane how many people were at that thing.
I actually went to one. Here.
Did you go?
Yep.
Did you?
It is a production.
I bet.
For how much money the tickets cost, it better be production.
Okay. I don't want to derail it. I was responsible.
Taylor Swift ran out, but
so I went through the ordeal of getting tickets, and it was one of the most stressful 4 hours of my life.
Oh man, you're a good man. You're a good man, sir. Rachel, you got a good one there, man. Hey, I would have done it for my wife if she wanted to go. So, sometimes the things we do, goes a long way. Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's kind of the idea tonight. We'll just go through some stuff. Everybody picked 10 or so records. We'll try to get through them, fairly quickly. Let's see what kind of overlap we have, if any. But like I was saying, last year, we did 3 of these streams, and I think we were mostly talking about new stuff. So by the time we got to the year-end stream, it was well, we've already talked about these records 2 or 3 times. So maybe we'll try do things a little bit differently, but again, if they come up again, it's no big deal anyway. So, yeah, so I'll go ahead and just start off with what I've got and pulled, and I've tried to just kind of go a little bit of everything. in terms of like old and new. But this is a new one. And this band, I discovered somebody on Instagram. I don't even know. Maybe Russ, you might have posted something about this. I could be completely wrong about that. But I also saw a review. Fairly new band. They're called Oromet. And this is a band from, I think they're from California, could be. But they, I could be completely wrong on that. Let me blow myself up just so you can see the tape. So Oromet, or Oromet, I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but this is basically like a newer, like Death Doom type of band, very atmospheric. The best way I could describe it is like they sound like Paul Bearer, if Paul Bearer with death vocals, pretty much, but a little bit more expansive, a little bit more like longer songs, very vibey and atmospheric stuff. I read a review on Your Last Rites, and then somebody else had posted about it on Instagram that talked about how good it was. But yeah, it's just 3 songs. I guess I don't know if it's considered an EP or full length, but this it's really kind of won me right over when I listened to it. I mean, when it comes to the sort of Death Doom stuff, it really kind of has to have certain elements to kind of pull me in. Obviously, like the atmospheric and the melodic elements, and these guys have a lot of that. Just real, very kind of synthy, but very just heavy doom kind of vibe, but with the death vocals. But yeah, the first thing that came to mind was, the tones kind of sound similar to the way Paul Bearer does things. But Transylvanian Records is what the tape. They only have this on tape. I think they sold out. I don't think they've pressed any CDs or vinyl yet. Again, fairly new band, 2 guys. One of the guys in this band has like 3 or 4 other bands. I'm not really familiar with any of them, so I couldn't really speak to them. But so far in terms of like this year, Death Doom releases, this is kind of the one that captured me so far. 1 or 2 other ones, but and I'll talk a little bit about that on one of my other picks that I have. But have you guys heard of this band at all?
I actually went to add this on Spotify, and it turns out I have listened to it. So didn't make much of an impact, but I'm definitely gonna listen to it again.
Yeah, it was.
I like Funeral Doom.
Sorry, Ryan. It wasn't me that posted it, but I have saved that, so maybe we saw the same post. Someone else sharing that, but I do need some Death Doom in my life always. I don't get a lot of it, so
maybe you shared it. I don't know. I just, when I saw the artwork, it was like, like usually artwork kind of pulls you in. And Ted Nasmith did the artwork, who's done some Tolkien.
Oh yeah, I love his stuff. Yeah.
I've seen that art floating around.
Mm-hmm.
Like you pulled that up, and I was like, that looks familiar, but I haven't checked that out yet.
Yeah, got a Tolkien kind of vibe. I don't think the music is really supposed to be about Tolkien, but kind of a similar, using net. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing his name correct, Nasmith, but I mean, he's done a lot of really notable Tolkien artwork. So, that's one thing to pull you in. But then you might really dig this. Like Paul Bearer, it's kind of in a similar vein, just longer, more expansive. Paul Bearer, Death Doom,
Well, you know me. I love Tolkien. I love Paul Bearer. So it's on my list now.
Sold.
All right, Tyler, what you got for us, man?
I'm actually going to start off with some older stuff I've been spinning lately. And this one I'm going to do a little bit of a kind of a twofer because one led to the other, right? So first off, I've been listening to this band fairly often. Winter Eternal, Greek black metal band, but they sound nothing like their Hellenic brothers. They sound very much like blackened Swedish mellow death type stuff. And on that album, which is their newest album, came out, I think, December a couple years ago, they do a cover of Gates of Ishtar, The Dawn of Flames. And I had to go buy the remastered editions of all the albums, and because I forgot how just damn good this band actually was for their little 3-album run. And this beats the shit out of the original artwork. For the people that know, like, what I'm talking about. But no, Gates of Ishtar, for those who don't know, very much classic Swedish melodeath. I'd say rooted a little heavier in the blackened side of things. They weren't quite as deathy as some of the other bands coming out at that time. And the title track, The Dawn of Flames, is probably one of the best mellow death songs ever, in my opinion. It's just, it's got blast beats and tempo changes and variation and melodies and just all the shit that you love about, especially the Swedish mellow death type stuff. But yeah, that was kind of a surprise going back down that rabbit hole because I hadn't listened to Gates of Ishtar in probably like 15 years. And then I went back and checked out all the remastered stuff and had to get them. I got them all.
Yeah, that's a band I'm not too familiar with. I need to get them in my life because I'm constantly hearing people talk about Gates of Ishtar. It's just like one of those, like they say it's so much better than the mellow death you actually know about in Gothenburg and whatnot.
I mean, you listen to it and like it has like the, you hear riffs and like, oh, that sounds like In Flames, but all their albums are consistently far more aggressive than most anything In Flames ever did. So take that as you will. But like I said, when I say it's rooted more in the black metal side of things, it's like when they get to the blasty parts, it sounds very black metal, but then it gets into the classic melodeath chuggy type riffs too. But no, I don't know. They're just catchy. It was good shit. And yeah, they had a pretty good run for a minute, but didn't get a lot of publicity. And then that album kind of shit the bed for them because of some really awful artwork that apparently they had nothing to do with. The label just pulled it out of their ass and slapped it on the albums and put it out there.
Generic stuff.
Yeah. I mean, in all these reissues, they actually have like a full biography type thing of the story surrounding each album and just the shenanigans that happen. But yeah, if you guys haven't checked that out, I would definitely check out those remasters. They're Dan Swano remastered and of course sound pristine and awesome. And yeah, definitely worth the purchase.
Gates of Ishtar has come up several times for me, like within the past few weeks. It's really weird because I feel like there were years and years and years where I've never heard. I'm like I've known about them for a while, but yeah, it's very strange. So definitely time.
Cool, Ryan.
All right, so my 2023 list is still so ill-defined that I'm not even going to bother with new releases. I may bring up one or two that I'm pretty sure won't be on my year-end list, but I'm going to focus on older stuff that I've been listening to a lot lately. The first choice was very easy because I've listened to it like 3 times in the past 3 days. That is Shining's 5 Homestad. That's the name of the album. I don't have a visual aid, of course, because I don't collect physical.
Cool, I'll bring it up.
The album art is pretty impactful, so it might be worth looking at. If you're not familiar, Shining is a Swedish depressive suicidal black metal band. Very silly genre name, but in this case, it's very fitting. The frontman of the project, Nicholas Kvarforth, is deeply, deeply troubled human being. He's got cutting scars all up and down his forearms, and is just like I think he has schizophrenia. Like he's pretty open about his struggles, but he's just deeply, deeply troubled guy.
Is this the one?
Yeah, that is the one. And that is like, that album art really made an impact on me when I first saw it in college. I was a much sadder person in college, and so I think music like this really appealed to me more. But the cool thing about Shining, and especially this album, is that it's got a really solid like black and roll backbone. So it's not just like depressed wailing and lazy mid-tempo riffs. There's energy on these records, but this one in particular, it's an amazing 6-track run. The 5th song has a rendition of Moonlight Sonata kind of mixed into like another piece. That's another thing that they incorporate like acoustic guitar, piano really, really well. It's just, I mean, I genuinely love this band. They have an album coming out this year. It will probably end up on my year-end list if their previous few records are any comment. But yeah, this one in particular, I've been jamming this a lot. Shining is not necessarily an underground band. I don't think people need to pay more attention to Shining. That's not really my claim, but this is something I've been spinning a lot the past couple of days, so it was an obvious first choice for me.
Cool. Let's see, Russ.
Yo, okay. What should I do first? Okay, let's do. Okay, so this is one that came out this year. During my my vacation, I was just listening to Polish music nonstop. Trying to find stuff for videos and just for reels, whatever. And this one's a 2023 album. It's Varmia, and the album is Nie nas widzą, which translates to something like you or no, Nie nas. I can't see us, which doesn't make really sense, literally. But yeah, so Varmia, they're a black, like an epic, kind of like an epic, almost like Black in Death, pagan metal band. I like when I listen to them, it kind of sounds like if Behemoth nowadays was making like instead of satanic, they were making more of like a folk pagan kind of blackened death metal. Just has like a really kind of big epic sound to it.
Is this it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I had heard nothing about him. I just stumbled across it randomly, and it really, took me by surprise how epic and great it was. Really atmospheric. There's some really great acoustic passages. It's hit or miss with acoustic passages. Sometimes they're just filler interludes. I think these ones they're actually like, like stand on their own. They're proper songs. So yeah, some great acoustic passages, some folk instrumentation in the music. But yeah, just really some kind of big, like it just sounds like they're playing like on the top of a mountain or something. But yeah, cool band. Never heard of them before. I've only listened to this album. I think they have like 2 others maybe. But yeah, really liking this album. I could see it potentially being top 10. We'll wait and see.
Cool. Right then.
So I'm sorry, I'm not going to have any physical copies to show off, even though I'm a big physical medium person. Mainly because I'm not buying physical stuff right now, because quite frankly, my entire collection is in a storage unit right now, because I'm basically living out of storage right now, because I'm touring so much, and I've had again a major life upheaval. But I did just discover that the band who put out what would become one of my favorite albums of 2021 just put out another album last month, and it is a band from Germany called The Night Eternal. The new album is called Fatal, and yeah, it's kind of a new wave of British heavy metal style thing meets like a heaping dose of like the first Danzig album, which I fucking love the first Danzig album so much. Like it's one of those that I'm like, anytime I go back to it, it's like so classic. But this is this band is a cool combination of that sort of vibe. Their previous album, Moonlit Cross, was one that I didn't discover until 2022, like January of 2022, and I was really kicking myself at that point for not hearing it like a couple months earlier. But yeah, their vocalist is really great. He's got a lot of character. The songs are awesome. I haven't given this new one a ton of spins at this point, but it seems to be on par with its predecessor. And if that's the case, like I listened to that album a ton after I discovered it. It's on Van, which you guys know that's a label that does a lot of really cool stuff. And the fact that a label that's really known for super extreme stuff, if they can also put out something that's a little bit more accessible and a little retro like this, it's gonna be cool. And yeah, I've really been digging the first couple of listens I've had of this one. So. It may end up on my end of year. Stands a pretty good chance because I really wanted to put that last one on my year end, but it was just a little too late when I found it.
Cool. I remember you playing those guys at your house a year ago. I think that you had the vinyl for the last one.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, we did do that.
On Van Records as well.
Yep.
All right, cool. So my next one is this is kind of a cool one. So at the Emperor concert that me and Than and Ryan got to go to in LA, got to hang out with some cool dudes, some sort of new friends of mine, and they are in a band called Doldrum, and they. So there's Ben and Hal, the two guys that we hung out with. So Ben, I met. They both live in Denver. I met Ben at a show about a year ago, and not Ben Brain Smasher, but he actually knows Ben Brain Smasher. So, and he kind of knew everybody's channel. So we kind of started talking, hit it off a bit. He's also a hiker as well. I want to get him on one of these streams one of these days. But him and Hal were both at the Emperor concert. We hung out, had a lot of fun. They're hilarious, just making us laugh all freaking night. But this is their band Doldrum. The album's called The Knocking, and this came out actually, I think it was 2021. And I didn't even know. I remember, Ben, if you're watching this, I remember you were saying that you had mentioned the band. I didn't realize that it was your band. So we found that out. We talked about it at the Emperor show, and so you can get these. They're still available on the Bandcamp, and he was nice enough to send me a shirt as well. But man, this was surprisingly very. I mean, wouldn't be unsurprising. I mean, as well as I know Ben, I didn't even know that he was a musician, but I was still quite surprised at how good this was, just in terms of the production, really the songwriting, everything about it really is pretty spot on. It's best way I could describe it is it's sort of like a progressive black metal type of thing, very heavy, like Norwegian influence on the guitars in terms of like the tones that he uses. Definitely a lot of Dadomsgard. I know he's a huge Dadomsgard fan. That definitely shines through in terms of the influence here, but it's got very just kind of bright, pristine production, killer drumming. It's three guys, like I said, Ben, Hal, and I guess their drummer, Ben, used to live out east. I think he lived in Boston. No, I'm sorry, Chicago. And I think their drummer still lives out there, but man, it's just kind of like a quirky kind of, borderline avant-garde, not quite as crazy as like Dadomsgard, but kind of in that realm, black metal with, sort of a haunting, dark vibe throughout it. And I mean, it's really, really good stuff. I mean, I don't know if these guys are working on anything new. I had never even heard of them until we got to hang out with those guys. So good job, Ben. Really killer stuff. I really enjoyed the whole album, and thanks for the shirt. Hope to hang out with you guys soon. But yeah, you guys, all you guys on this stream, I think would dig this. It's really cool stuff. Doldrum.
I can attest to the fact that those dudes are super, super awesome as well. Like I had a blast getting to meet them, and so many like such a huge wealth of musical knowledge between the two of those guys. Like I remember talking to Ben about like Stravinsky and stuff. Like he's got a huge wealth of knowledge, like I said. And Jimmy, I wanted to tell you that the connection that Hal and I made, like the mutual acquaintance that we both had, not more than acquaintance, friend. I just saw that person tonight and like got to share this experience because she's singing on this same gig that I'm on right now. So I got to share this experience that I had meeting Hal and everything. So super, super cool. And I've only gotten to listen to that album one time, but it's really cool. And it's going to be one that I go back to as well.
Yeah, you guys check it out. I think all the rest of you guys will dig it as well. If you haven't heard
I've heard of that. That band, I need to check it out.
Yeah, I checked that out when it first dropped. The big Facebook group I'm part of, like everybody was all aflutter about that one. I liked what I heard when I initially heard it. It's probably in my wish list. Like Varmia is actually, I double checked that all their albums are in my wish list on Bandcamp right now. So I guess that means I need to go back and explore that band as well.
Yeah, they were real fun guys too. After the show, we were like, they wanted to go out and get more beers for as long as we could. We went and had one more beer, but I think they were looking to hang out all night. We were like, shit, we were going to see Ryan in the morning for a hike, so we finally had to cut it off. But yeah, it was good times with those dudes.
Oh, come on, man. Hiking with a hangover is always fun.
Yeah. Well, I was even more worried about it just because the climate was a little bit different. So I was like, no, I'm definitely going to be sweating tomorrow. So yeah, but we made both work. It worked out. So
excellent.
All right, Tyler.
So for my next pick, I'm going to talk about that band I messaged you about, Jimmy, that Russian band. So if you want to pull that,
I'll bring it up.
So yeah, the Facebook group I'm part of, Order of the Black Arts, someone dropped this really obscure ass Russian band called Dur, DJUR, and obviously the album and the titles and everything's all in Russian, but from what Bandcamp tells me, the album title translates to "In Torrents of Chaos Blood," and it's not. The album's not as brutal sounding as the title would make it out to be. It is some it's melodic and fairly technical black metal. It came out on some really rinky-dink obscure ass European label back in 2011. And yeah, that album just rips from top to bottom. And I need to find a copy of that. I need to find a physical copy of it. I was so absolutely blown away with it. But yeah, if you technical guitar playing, really melodic riffs, like stop and start on dime, like real heavy moments, kind of pagan-y moments here and there, but it's mind-blowing. It's been in constant rotation for my commute to and from work. It's just, yeah, there's not a bad song on that album. I mean, even the cheeseball little intro on it is, really good. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely a band that flew way under my radar. And it's funny, when this came out, I'm surprised I didn't come across it, because I was going on all those, you guys remember those blog pages that had the illegal MP3 links and everything, the pirated links. And I'm certain that I would have come across this on one of those pages, but I never did. And now I'm kicking myself for not finding it when it came out. So instead, I'm keeping an eye on Discogs, and cheapest copy I could find is from some dude in Israel for like $40 including shipping. So that might be one I'll probably not ever get a physical copy of, but it'd be really cool if I did. But yeah, if you like your standard fare Russian black metal that's not droning and uber atmospheric, but rather real technical and straightforward and kind of vicious, then yeah, I highly recommend checking that out. Really good stuff.
Cool. All right, Ryan.
That sounds awesome, Tyler. I'm gonna have to give that one a listen. All right, so next for me is the album Henbane by the band Culta De Ghoul. Culta De Ghoul is a Polish black metal band. Sorry?
Oh, no, you're good.
I thought somebody said something. This is a Polish black metal band, very, very steeped in early second wave sonic qualities. A lot of almost like doomy passages. It feels very much like an intentional nod towards the early days of what we all know as black metal now, when genres were, or the genre lines were kind of more hazily defined, and bands didn't necessarily all sound like each other. This is a really, really like theatrical project. The vocalist goes by the stage name Mark of the Devil, which is a weird thing to refer to yourself as a human. But his vocal style is incredible. It's like Attila from Mayhem, but maybe even turned up to 11, like almost more theatrical, to the point where like it's not just like he does different vocals throughout the song. He like has it almost feels like he's narrating an audiobook with different like demonic voices. Like the range this guy has is wild. Lyrically, it's all about like witchcraft and medieval evil stuff, probably similar to like Ungfell type lyrical topics, witchcraft, medieval stuff. And I know I read an interview with him in Bardo Methodology, which is a like online and physical zine. Pretty much just does interviews with like black metal and related genres of music. But for a Polish gentleman, his English is very good, and he's incredibly knowledgeable about all the stuff he's singing about, which I just really love. Something that is really important to me in black metal specifically is authenticity, and I just really get the feeling this guy is like, you know, he talked about how he like, I think he took like LSD or something, and like genuinely believes he saw the devil and it like changed his life, and just like, you know, very, very like serious about the occult. And that really shines through in the music. Just a really fun record. It's like, it's got a lot of variety. There's some really, really aggressive black metal parts, but there's some slower, dreamier parts that are also like really catchy, like super memorable parts that are heavier and slower. Highly, highly recommend this album. The vocalist is in another band called Sodality, which I don't like quite as much, but they did release an album this year. It's comparable sonically, but it's just less like evil. Maybe a little more polished and just newer sounding, but it's still good. If you do like Culta De Ghoul, you can check that one out too. But yeah, this is one I've been listening to a lot lately as well.
I need to revisit Coven. That was the only one I know that was really good.
Yeah,
Coven.
He has not released anything I don't like.
Cool. All right, Russ.
No, I've heard that name, but I've never listened to them. But I mean, as long as we're in Poland, I guess both another Polish band. So yeah, like I mentioned for my video, I was listening to a lot of. I didn't want really anything dark, which, you know, a lot of Polish black metal is. I was looking for more, I don't know, I guess pagan metal stuff is more, I don't know, upbeat, bright maybe. So I know one of the Tyler, I know you'll love this one. So it's definitely, and all of us will know this musician. But this is the other band of Voice Suave, who is in, or one of the two guys in Wędrujące Wiatry, his band Stvorz. So I started listening to a lot of Stvorz. They have a lot of albums.
Yes.
It's definitely a rabbit hole. A lot of albums, a lot of EPs, a lot of splits. To focus on, I guess before I'd listened to, I think Tyler recommended me Na Stronę Słońca, which is one of their first ones. That one's definitely more black metal, I would say, more kind of just you know, pagan metal, but definitely more black metal riffing. The ones as the discography goes on, the more recent ones are definitely more pagan metal. Yeah, that's him. More, I don't know, like
Which record is it, Russ?
well, we could go with Zagone Bogów.
Okay, so you're kind of just
Yeah, I was just kind of in general, but this is one of my favorite ones I've listened to so far. But yeah, a lot of really kind of upbeat pagan metal, more definitely like a punk influence on these ones. Not necessarily like an epic kind of heavy metal pagan vibe, but more definitely faster songs, more punk, D beats, you know. There's some folk instrumentation, not a ton of folk instrumentation, mainly just, you know, guitars. Some songs have, you know, female vocals, and they also tie in Polish folk songs into the song. Like a part of the song would be like a Polish folk song. Yeah, just really a lot of albums there. Just all Polish folklore, so you can't get much more Polish than these albums.
No.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and this guy, he has a lot of like I said, Wędrujące Wiatry, like everyone knows them these days. This is quite different, a lot different. And there's also another one. He has a like a folk album. I think the one I have here, this is actually two albums in one, two of his folk releases in one.
Yep. I have 2 copies of that.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
Accidentally. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's so good. It's almost like borders on like ambient folk sometimes. A lot of field recordings in it. Atmospheric. Rain sounds and all that. Very awesome, but very very Polish folk sounding. This is an amazing CD. Yeah, I highly recommend it if you're just into pagan folk. Yeah. But this guy is super prolific. So many different bands, so many great bands. This is just like a little snippet of his genius. So
absolutely, that's funny you mentioned that band because I actually just got I got 2 more of his like demo and split compilations in the mail recently.
Awesome, nice.
Yeah, this one's the most recent one. Like I don't recall what all the material is, but this is the one that just came out. I think late last year or something like that. Yeah. And it's got 1, 2, 3. It's got 4 different EPs on it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It seems like a lot of albums are like that. Yeah.
But yeah, I have those, and then I have the majority of the albums that I can get. There's like 1 or 2 studio albums that are eluding me still.
Okay, yeah.
But man, I love that project.
No, you definitely turned me on to them for sure. Yeah, I'm sure you could say more about them, but
yeah, I've always been a fan. I got into them with like the more black metal-y, like when he had the more black metal vocals and everything.
Yeah.
But now it's like there's even black metal moments on the newer stuff, but it's still very kind of gruff, I guess.
Yeah,
pagan vocalist
delivery kind of.
Yeah, it makes it sound not black metal, but it still has a black metal core.
Yeah,
I love
totally
it.
Agree. Yeah,
that man does no wrong. All his projects are amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about another one after coming up.
Excellent.
Cool. Than?
I love the fact that we're kind of talking about old stuff and new stuff on this because it's fun to hear. It's fun to hear you guys talk about stuff from not just brand new stuff. You guys are all really good at knowing about cool shit that I've never heard of. But it's also cool to hear about past influences and classic things that you're returning to. And I guess my next one is kind of a combination of the two because it has been an incredible year so far in terms of artists that I love doing like really worthwhile re-recordings of past work. And one of the big ones is a record that Jimmy and I actually listened to at our high backpacking camp in Colorado on the last hike that we did in July.
I don't know what this one is.
Yeah, you do. And it's Voivod, Morgoth Tales. Also a band that I talked about on our very last live stream that the 5 of us did, because their last album, their last full-length new LP was one of my favorites of last year. But they managed to keep doing more relevant stuff and re-recording a whole bunch of classic tunes from the vast majority of their back catalog. Morgoth Tales, as Jimmy has put up. There is one new song called Morgoth Tales. But it's great. I mean, the tunes that they decided to re-record, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this band really can do no wrong at this point. They've managed to weave their career in such a way that, like, even their most questionable work from the past, they've managed to make completely relevant and legitimate with the work that they have done in recent years. And I find these re-recordings to be really, really cool to listen to. Obviously, they have a guitarist that's been playing with them for the past few years, Daniel Monclin, that is a fantastic musician and is the type of musician that can make music seem new while also paying respect to his predecessor, whom everybody loves. Like, you know, everyone speaks with high reverence when it comes to Denny DeMore, Piggy, and Dan's work on this record is really cool. Like he does just that, and it also features guest appearances from Eric Forrest on a tune from Phobos, I believe, and Jason Newsted on a re-recording of a tune from the album he appeared on, which I believe is the self-titled Morgoth album. Is that right? Seems right. But it's super cool, and the band is just like cooking. It's like they're the last band that I saw live before I took off from the Northeast. And I saw them play most of these songs on a live set, and it's, you know, they're just such killer musicians, and absolutely one of, I mean, that's just a band that, as far as I'm concerned, is like a perfect band for me, because it's the combination of like band generated artwork, incredible, like a sci-fi world that Snake created, and Owe has illustrated for years. It's great. I love it. And we listened to it at one of the best campsites I've ever been in my life. So it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think they're better than they've ever been personally. I mean, that's kind of a bold statement, you know, given that Piggy's not with them anymore. But man, I just love their new stuff so much. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a different
really
level.
Great. Real quick, just shout out to everybody in the comments. Got a few people watching. Rick, what's up, dude? Jeff's out there. Logan, what's up? Maya, a couple other people. John, I'm not going to go crazy like highlighting comments because I'm trying to like, you know, get everybody's picks so everybody can see what we're talking about. We definitely have a lot of bands. I'm sure that like nobody, if we get pronunciations correctly, anybody watching is not going to know what the hell we're talking about. So I'm doing my best to kind of bring stuff up here. So, but cheers, guys. Thanks for jumping on. And hopefully you're going to find some cool stuff here that you haven't heard yet. So my next pick is this one. I don't have a physical copy of, but this one I've been kind of sitting on for a while, and learned about this band from Tyler. And when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm always very hesitant. But after, you know, a couple really solid listens to this band, it really won me over. And that is going to be Erdog. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that or it's Erdog. But man, this is really good. And it's so, I mean, like when I say I was a bit hesitant with it, it's because they're kind of in the vein of Summoning. And so when it comes to bands that are highly influenced, you know, Summoning is a band that created a genre as far as I'm concerned. You know, I mean, they really took black metal and, you know, the Tolkien and the you know, the medieval kind of vibe and mixed it into this sort of cooked up stew of just Tolkien greatness. And you know, they're just hard pressed to be matched in kind of terms of just what they're doing. In other words, like I feel like they always kind of stood on their own. And since then, they've really kind of influenced a whole bunch of musicians, you know, a couple different genres. I mean, I would even argue that a lot of dungeon synth has come out of, you know, Summoning's music. And so, you know, there's a handful of bands out there that obviously are highly influenced. And every time I hear a Summoning influenced band, most of the time I'm kind of just feeling like I kind of just want to go listen to Summoning. You know, Caladan Brood is really the only band I ever felt that really almost kind of surpassed Summoning in a way. But so Tyler had been talking about this one for a while, and you know, I think I had my Summoning visor on when I first listened to it, thinking I'm, you know, and I decided I needed to get past that, and I gave this one really a chance. And you know what, man? I mean, this is really good stuff. It's, you know, obviously in the vein of Summoning, but I feel like they've got their own thing going on. I think they've got, you know, they're not doing Tolkien. I mean, it's definitely fantasy influenced, you know, medieval black metal. It's not, maybe not as synth heavy as Summoning. There's maybe a little bit more in the guitar department. But the songs, you know, I mean, if you're going to do Summoning, you really gotta, I don't know, you just gotta be good in my mind. You really step up your composition and your melodies, and just really be able to evoke the feelings that I get like from something like Summoning. And this does that. I need to get a physical copy of it, but yeah, if you guys are out there into summoning, this is really. What was that, Tyler?
I'm chuckling because this is actually an overlap, because I was not this next pick, but I was going to actually talk about this album because I've just been listening to the shit out of this album again myself. So here you go. Here's a picture of physical, or here's a physical copy for you. Like if you want to.
There we go.
Yeah, so I got the A5 edition, obviously on accident. I actually had ordered another album from Northern Silence Productions, and I ordered a band called Voltaire, and they sent me this instead. And admittedly, the label owner was kind of a prick about it. He was like, well, you could send it back and then we'll send the Voltaire, or you can just keep it and just buy the Voltaire again, because this was actually more limited and more expensive. And I'm sure he was pissed at his own fuck up, but I was like, score, because I was in the same boat. Like normally, like I like certain summoning albums. I don't go crazy about summoning like a lot of people do. So when I saw this, I was like, well, I'll see if I like it. And I put it on and I was blown away. And you already brought it up about the guitars. And that's the thing I really like about it, is it has plenty of that, goofy 80s fantasy movie synth stuff happening, and a lot of that dungeon synth stuff. But the metal songs are very guitar driven. Like the guitars are definitely the focal point. Even anything that's got like, a synth interlude or a synth intro, as soon as the guitars kick in, that your ears are directed to what the guitars are doing more so than the synths. And I really appreciated that for sure. So, but I was really surprised he brought that up, because it was like, I was just listening to this today on my drive. So like,
well, it's funny because we did that Desert Island black metal stream, and one of my picks, I had to pick a summoning record for that. And I hadn't delved into summoning. I've got all the records. I just hadn't listened in a while. So I was like listening to them all, like discovering them again, deciding which one I wanted to pick for that. And then I kind of felt like I needed more. So I went back to this one, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad that really influenced me, because it's really good. It's so well composed. It's surprised it's so under the radar, because it's very strong sounding music. And
oh man, I'm really hoping that there's new stuff coming out at some point, because I'm actually excited about this band. But yeah, that's just funny that, like I said, that was going to be like about 3 picks from now. I was going to bring it up, but
I'm really excited to listen to this. Thanks, guys, for bringing it up again. I keep forgetting to listen to it.
Yeah, I know you like Caladan Brood, so you'll.
Yeah, as you can tell behind me, Mr. Who is it? Mortal Sword. Yeah, Mortal Sword behind me, watching over me.
Yeah, it's very, very, very summoning influence for sure, but it's not. To call it another summoning clone would be a bit of a disservice.
Absolutely.
Like they take the style and they definitely they make it just slightly original enough to stand out a little bit, I think. And yeah, Jimmy's right. Like more people should really be on top of this band. Like these guys should be as big as Caladan Brood and any of the other summoning clones out there, if not bigger.
Yeah, and it's also gotten me to want to go back to some of the ones I kind of snuffed at. Like Iman Mule, and there's a couple other ones. It was good stuff. I just, at the time, I bet if I go back to those, I might feel differently as well. So, but yeah, great find, dude. It's really good stuff. Really enjoyed it. So, do you want to just count that one as your next pick, Tyler, or do you want to just go on to the next one?
I'll go on to the next one, and then maybe I'll pull out another. I'll pull out another pick from the pile a little later on. So, the next pick I was going to talk about is. And you guys in our group chat, which I keep thinking we should add Fan to it, but I don't know if Fan's a busy guy. He probably doesn't want to be blown up with my recommendations all the time. But anyway, this album right here, the Kalnick, was it the Blood of the Wild? Like, yeah. Oh my God.
Great.
So I got this originally. It was released digitally late last year, December of last year. And I was into it. I bought a copy of it. And then just real recently, like a month or so ago, you get the messages on Bandcamp, and they're like, hey, there's CD. We finally have physical copies. Oh, by the way, this is a remastered edition. So they actually tweaked the sound and made it sound even better. And I'm kind of pissed that it was a 2022 release, because I would love to consider this a 2023 release, because this would be top 5 if it was. I mean, it's, as you can see on there, on that screen there, it was very limited track listing, and it's almost an hour of playtime, but these songs are not boring. It's I mean, as you can tell from the logo, it's very Wolves in the Throne Room inspired type of logo. And it's very Cascadian style black metal, with the acoustic interludes and, the more mellow moments, but the black metal moments just absolutely rage on this. And even though the shortest song is 16 and a half minutes, the longest song is like 23 minutes, there's not one moment that's boring. And this album flies by. Like, this has been a commute album as well. Like, it's been in the rotation. But the guys from Nova Scotia, Canada, so that's like, I don't know of very many bands that come from Nova Scotia specifically. So that's pretty cool. And then another thing that's cool, I actually had to put this in my drawer on my desk because cats are playing with it. So the dude picks and dries leaves from like trees and like in the forest where probably that picture was taken. So you get a little piece of his Nova Scotian forest with each CD copy.
Nice.
So it's kind of cool. I had it hanging up, but cats are cats, and they were trying to fuck with it and eat it, and so I had to put it away.
Yeah, I can attest to this record as well. It's really good. It is kind of in the Wolves arena, but I need to get a physical copy.
I think they're obviously inspired from like the very first 2 Wolves albums, like 200s and Diadems, but made it. I mean, I love those albums, but I have to be in the mood to listen to those albums in one sitting because they get kind of drony and boring. This album doesn't get boring. Like, there's not a moment where I'm just like, ugh, I wish the song was over. Like, I mean, it's, as far as Cascadian black metal goes, or that style, that is like a perfect album. And people need to hear that one too. Pretty much anything I recommend, people need to hear it, or else I wouldn't recommend it, right?
Yeah, I need to check out that remaster or whatever it is. Yeah, because I listened to it once and for whatever reason just didn't click. So
it was kind of muddy. I mean, I was actually surprised I got it because it was so kind of murky, and like I have to be in the mood for that. I don't necessarily like the raw or like the super dismal murky stuff, and it had that vibe, but I think it was because it was self-produced, and then they actually sent it off to a studio to actually get it retweaked and remastered, and man, it made a huge difference.
Cool.
But it does get confusing because if you look it up on Bandcamp, you can find both versions on Bandcamp. So this one's got remastered in parentheses, so don't choose the wrong one.
Yeah. Cool. What's going on, Marty? Thanks for joining, dude. All right, Ryan.
I just want to say I appreciate Tyler's commitment to Bandcamp, because I have a huge blind spot for bands who only have their stuff on Bandcamp and don't put it on streaming platforms, because that's where I do most of my listening. So thank you for reminding me about this album. I really enjoyed it. I'm curious now if I listened to the remastered one or the original, because I remember really liking it, and I tend to like murkier production. So maybe I listened to the original.
I mean, this one's not pristine by any means, but
yeah.
it's
better,
cleaned up.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so I will be talking now about a very, very controversial newer band. I just put it in the chat because I honestly don't know how to pronounce it. Tra. This album specifically is called Vatgelenva. So really weird project. It's black metal. It's very, very raw black metal with like very bright synths, and the whole vibe of the project is like this dude has this, it's almost like Alcest-esque, where this dude has this like whole imagined world where like he sees fairies and stuff, and I guess he's made up an entire language, which is cool. I don't know how like grammatically stringent it is, But you know, all of the album names, all the song names are in these this made up language, or I think it might actually be multiple languages. Really weird, interesting album art. I thought this was some kind of like demented clown that's just the dude in the band. But it definitely grabbed my attention, and I sat down and listened to it, and I loved this album. There are some really, really incredibly memorable moments. Jimmy, I'm glad you did that. So, reason this band is controversial is because he has released, I mean, I don't even know. He has released dozens and dozens of, okay, maybe like 24 things since 2020. And it's been especially bad this year. I hate when bands do this. It seems to be a newer thing where, sorry, I'm reading this comment. Yeah, no, I agree completely. Like, I mean, it is very, very like deeply nostalgic music. It's very moving usually, but sometimes I'll listen to an entire EP and be like, I didn't like anything on this record. And I think the problem is like when you have this level of output, you're just inherently going to be really inconsistent. I'm sure there are people who love everything this guy does, and that's fine. I don't have any issue with that. But for me, it's incredibly hit or miss, and it's really strange to like love an album as much as I love Vat Galenva or whatever it's called, and then have an album released like a year later that I just don't care about at all. It's very strange. This project gets a lot of discussion on Twitter just because like he's so prolific, kind of in a bad way. It's really polarizing, kind of love or hate, but I actually like it. I think there is some really, really good material here. Yeah, I mean, look at the name of that album. That is truly outrageous, and that's all made up. Like you can't, you know, there's nothing to reference there. I will say it's pretty cool. It's a really cool gimmick. I think, unfortunately, if you want to make it in the like oversaturated world of raw black metal, you need a good gimmick. This guy definitely has a good gimmick, and I don't mean gimmick in like a cheap way. I really think he's very passionate about what he's doing. And he's a great musician. I just think he churns out so much that some of it doesn't do much for me. But that album in particular, I can vouch for. I think it's great if you can tolerate raw black metal. If you can't, it might not be for you. But it's definitely got some brightness to it that raw black metal isn't really known for. Really, it reminds me of like being a very young child and just like, I don't know, like walking around in the woods or like just like watching the sunset, and just it's this deeply nostalgic feeling that's kind of rooted in, you know, the childhood that none of us can get back, but all kind of yearn for. So really cool project. If you can tolerate raw black metal. Yeah, they love a gimmick. I mean, it's good to have a gimmick, right? Yeah, we're all pretty passionate and expressive people. So I did not know he had another project. I'm excited to check that out. Cool. Yeah. So that's enough about that. You can probably already tell based on my description whether or not you like it, but that's one I have been listening to a lot lately.
I just listened to, he put out, I think it was three full lengths on the same day, and I don't know if it was the same day, but it was like 3 back to back to back, and I listened to them. And I'll just say the newest one with the red cover is pretty sick. Yeah, that's
the best way to describe it, because the covers are really impressionistic.
They're all colors.
They tend to just be like a color, and then you can't really tell what's going on aside from that. It is a very unique project. Like I appreciate what he's going for, if nothing else.
Yeah, I feel like anyone can find maybe one they like in like the.
I would think so.
Albums.
Yeah, he's got fully ambient stuff.
Yeah,
and then fully black metal stuff, and then mixtures, and it's a lot. He's thrown a lot at the wall, and
the production varies. Like, you know, some are more raw than others.
Yeah.
So
the album I mentioned is very raw. Like Tyler, I'm sure you're probably already familiar with this band, but I'm sure it's not your thing. If you're not a raw black metal person.
I hate to say it, but I cannot stand that project.
That's totally fine. I like it
at all.
0% surprised.
But it's not necessarily the music. Some of the music is cool. It's just I don't know. There's just a lot of bands like when they crap out like 6 million releases like in a 2-month span. It's like I honestly can't believe that there's that much quality stuff that he feels is worthy of releasing and feels the need to release. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised he's like very severely ADHD and he's just constantly recording and just constantly needs to put stuff out.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about raw black metal is like the bar for completion is so low. I say this as someone who makes raw black metal. The bar for completion is so low that like you can record something, mix it for 20 minutes and be like, okay, I can put this on Bandcamp now. So like it's very easy to just and that's something I have to resist. Like, I try to be discerning about whether or not something is worth releasing and whether or not it's done. But like, that's not to say he's not putting effort in. It's just, it's not going to to be for everyone.
I mean, you can tell the dude. You can tell the dude's a good musician. Like he's just.
Totally. Yeah, I mostly picked this band just because I wanted to hear you guys' thoughts. I'm sure you're all like at least passingly familiar, but
you had me at Alcest, so.
It doesn't sound like Alcest. It's just like it's similar in the sense that it's like very bright and it's like it's yearning. You know, it's not like super negative music. It's just kind of like otherworldly and kind of strange, frankly. So cool band.
Each of his recordings sounds completely different.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
keep that in mind. So 4 million releases and everyone has something different to offer, which is just too much for me. I can't. I just can't.
So much other music out there. It's hard to like commit all this time to one project. So, all right. So that's that.
All right. Cool. Russ.
I feel like we could go on a lot with that band, but yeah, like I listened to. It was more of a hate listen when I listened to the 3 that they put out in like a day or whatever. But I really did like the red one. It was great. So I recommend that one. Production wasn't too bad. Fast, like I don't know, kind of bright, more upbeat, uplifting. But yeah, it was an awesome album. So anyways, we're gonna take a break from Poland. We're gonna head on a plane to Iceland now. This is a 20. I'm pretty sure this is a 2023 release. Let me check that. Yeah, so this came out this year. A little bit different speed. It's Icelandic, so whatever. I'll put it in the chat. Orida or Oria or something. I don't know who speaks Icelandic.
Oh, Oraiva?
Yeah.
That band is amazing.
Okay. So I'm talking about the newest one, Eternal. I haven't listened to the other stuff.
The one that just came out this year?
Yeah.
Great record.
Okay, yeah. So like the first minute when I hit play, I thought it was just gonna be like another Wolves in the Throne Room kind of rip off. The first riff is just like quintessential Wolves in the Throne Room. So yeah, sure, whatever. But then it goes like in a very different direction. Kind of the same production value as early Wolves in the Throne Room, kind of like that kind of hazy, fuzzy, I don't know, like wall of sound, just of guitars just coming at you. But it's more of a I would describe it as like post-rock, shoegaze black metal in a way. So it's just a lot of kind of long, repetitive riffing. The first song especially, it's just the same kind of riffs over and over and over again. Just, for sure, like trance-inducing, and just very repetitive. Like kind of a lo-fi sound, not too raw, but it's listenable. But all the songs have that kind of wall of guitar sound, just like pummeling you. But everything is, for the most part, it's fairly mid-pace. I don't know if there's blast beats. I'm not even sure now. Maybe like at the crescendos of some songs, because they all kind of build and build and build into like an epic kind of ending. They're all pretty long. The songs are long. It's definitely something to listen to, like to zone out to. The Bandcamp page describes it as passages akin to being in the barrage of a blinding snowstorm. So I can totally see that with the production of
I like that.
Yeah. And the tracks are also like the path, the river, the climb, the apex, the eternal. So I don't know what he's going for, but a hike, maybe a mountain climb or something. I could totally see that. But I don't know, Ryan, but I feel like the previous albums maybe were more in the vein of just straight up black metal, but this one is definitely quite different. Like I said, kind of like a post-rock, post-metal, black metal hybrid or something. Yeah. But yeah, very, very cool album. Unique, but yeah, I'll give it a shot for sure.
There's a reason.
that one hadn't come across my radar yet. That sounds intriguing, and that cover art looks awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah, I hadn't heard of him either. This is the first album I've listened to, first and only. So
great logo too. The logo's killer. All right, cool. Fan?
Russ, that sounds really awesome. I have already added that to my Spotify and plan on checking it out.
Awesome.
Soon. I have a flight to Scandinavia in a couple of days, so that might be a good time to check it out as I'm trying my best to zone out and get some fucking sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I have another new one by a band that's been around for a while, and I hope you guys have really been thinking the last two times that I've said anything. It's like, man, he hasn't brought up any death metal albums yet. This is pretty awesome.
I was wondering,
expanding his horizons here, but lest you be too concerned, I have really been enjoying the new album by Memoriam, which, as some of you may know, features has a history of incredible lineage of the band Bolt Thrower, which, you know, for me is a hugely important band. But Memoriam I didn't take to immediately. In fact, the first record, when I listened to it, it didn't really grab me, even though those last few Bolt Thrower albums are absolutely incredible. But I kind of went on a kick with them last year at some point. I think I remembered listening to an interview with Carl Willits that kind of sparked my imagination a little bit, and so I went and kind of listened to stuff again, and I really found myself going back to their album from 2019, Requiem for Mankind, quite a bit. But then this new one, Rise to Power, that Jimmy just so kindly pulled up, is also really good. There was an album before this one that also featured their new drummer, Andy Whale, who is a former Bolt Thrower drummer, played on the first few, but he didn't play on the previous one, and that one didn't really grab me. But this one also features this new drummer who I think kind of comes from a punk background, so it might have been kind of an album of adjustment. But this one I find to be really great. Obviously, awesome Dan Seagrave artwork. Yeah, good songs. Yeah, I dig the vibe. I mean, there's anything that's got Carl Willits on it is gonna have a little bit of a Bolt Thrower feel to it because his vocals are so iconic. But this is a cool combination of that sort of nostalgia, but also some new sounds, and it's definitely not just, you know, a band trying to continue to be Bolt Thrower. They have their own identity, and yeah, this one I really dig, and I'm sure I'll listen to it a bunch more times before the year's out. But I highly recommend it if you're into that sort of classic Bolt Thrower sort of vibe, with maybe a little bit of a, I hate to say it, like modern touch is kind of cliche, but it's definitely something different. They're their own band.
It's amazing how many records they've spit out last few years. I mean, what is this? It's the 5th record, I think.
Yeah, they've been busy. I don't know how much they tour, but man, I would love to see them if they ever came over to the States. I haven't seen them on any bills over here, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, and you played this one for me while you were in town, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's really fun, just catchy, just good. I mean, you know, no frills.
Stripped down.
Yeah,
no frills. Yeah.
Good production. You know, just great artwork. Yeah, it's cool to see that they're doing stuff. I mean, I dug it. All right. Let's see here. Okay. The next one for me, this one, I didn't want to pick anyone, you know, any of the ones that are going to end up on my list, but my year-end list, but this one's probably for sure going to be on there. But this is the new Argon Thorns, The Ravening. And this band is new. Sorry, real quick, let me remove this. New band. This is out on Avant-Garde Records. This guy. He has a myriad of projects. Most notably, Old Sorcery, which is a dungeon synth band. I would probably say is my favorite dungeon synth. There's a lot of dungeon synth out there, but you really do have to kind of weed through a lot of it to find like the good stuff. And this guy, his dungeon synth is it's so well composed, and like, a lot of dungeon synth could have a tendency to just kind of be like the same old thing over and over again. Just basement guys just putting out stuff like crazy. But Old Sorcery is quite different. It's very well composed, very like this guy seems classically trained in what he does. But he also has two other bands, I think. War Moon Lord, maybe one of them, or something like that. I don't know if that's the right name. But this is his new project, Argon Thorns. And man, this just instantly blew me away. And if you're into Old Sorcery or things like that, it's very much like a fantastical horror, symphonic black metal type thing, very much in the vein of Balsagoth, which is a band that, I kind of delve into here and there. I like Balsagoth. I've got Battle Magic. I think that's the only one that I've got a physical copy of. And some of that stuff is just very, very over the top, but very unique and cool in what they're doing. Just almost like kind of like comic book symphonic black death metal. This is taking kind of what Balsagoth does. Excuse me. Maybe like some old Dimmu Borgir, very symphonic, very layered, black death in a way, but just really exciting and fun sounding. This guy, like, he seems pretty prolific at this point. He's even got a new project about to come out as well on Avant-Garde called Tenebrarium, I believe, which is going to be more like horror, like goblin style music, just like crazy, like Italian, some of the art house kind of music that you would get in like some of those 80s films. But man, check that artwork out. It's just so cool, man. I mean, it's just like it's very fantastical. Just the liner notes are really fun. Just everything about this just kind of screamed to me. The orchestration is there, just like it is on Old Sorcery, but just in a black, crazy symphonic black metal way. Kind of a sleeper at this. Yeah, War Moon Lord, I think, is the one. That's right, Marty. But kind of a sleeper. But man, really, really good. If you like Balsagoth, but maybe want something a little bit more, dare I say, refined in a way. Fuck, man, it's just excellent. This will definitely be on my year-end list. Yeah, Argon Thorns. And I'll put that in the chat.
I need to check that out.
Awesome record.
All you guys will dig it. I'm sure every single one of you will dig this record.
Yeah, because War Moon Lord freaking rules. Like, I like that project a lot. So, but I don't know, that cover art, it'd be like if Tartarus was making music nowadays.
Yes. In fact, it does sound like some of the Tartarus stuff. Yeah, it's very much
nice.
Kind of in that vein. You take Tartarus, Balsagoth. Balsagoth, he's got those big, epic, like low pitched, Conan the Barbarian talking about whatever. It's just it's kind of hilarious, like the way Balsagoth would do it. But he's totally doing that in the spirit of Balsagoth. So it's a lot of fun, cool stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you'll dig it, bro.
Sweet.
All right, Tyler.
All right, so for my next pick and the next installment of American metal fans trying to pronounce foreign album titles, I got a 2000 release from a German band called Drengskaper, and I think it's Vaster Maras Verschlang. It's very German black metal, as you guys know in our years of doing the chats. Like, I am a huge fan of German black metal in general. This album in particular, densely atmospheric black metal. It reminds me a lot of older Heimdall's Wacht in you know, tempo changes are on a dime, like kind of take you by surprise. Really melodic and just extremely aggressive riffing, but yet very serene and very calm acoustic sections as well. Every track on this, save from the intro, and then there's a Throne of I never knew how to pronounce that band. Throne of Ahaz, Ahaz. The old classic Swedish band.
That's
they
how
do
I
a
say it.
Yeah, they do a cover on that, and that's only 4.5 minutes. But every main song on this averages 12 plus minutes, and kind of like the Kalanick, like it's not boring. Like there's not one part that really overstays its welcome. This is one of those albums that, like I said, I got it a couple of years ago, or actually I got it in 2020 when it came out. I think it was near the end of 2020. It's one of those albums I'll listen to a bunch. I put it away. I come across it on the shelf and I was like, damn, I need to listen to it again. And then I just, beat up my ear holes with it. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's the atmosphere on it is awesome. It's heavy nature inspired stuff, which, as you guys know, I'm very much into. I think the whole premise of this album, like every song is about something to do with like the lowlands and the swamplands, like probably in the Black Forest or, some area like that in Germany. But yeah, if you're just a fan of just atmospheric German styled black metal, definitely something that you probably should check out for sure. And they got a few releases. I have a couple of the splits that they've done, and everything I've heard from this band has just been utmost quality. But yeah, Heimdallswacht, older Heimdallswacht, if you guys are familiar with that project at all, that's probably a good reference point, I would say.
Cool. Great artwork too.
Awesome.
Yeah, black and white photo of trees. That's it. That's all I need.
Can't go
I'll
wrong.
listen to it.
Never gets old.
Yeah, never.
Yeah, really.
That was my approach for like that last Rubizol album. I mean, we had the sigil on it, but
yeah,
the mountain pictures were mine.
Oh, nice.
They worked.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan.
All right. So staying in the vein of pagan nature-inspired black metal, I have been listening to Woden's Throne's record Loss so much. This is one of the best UK black metal records ever.
Oh man.
It is clear predecessor to stuff like Fen and Winterfilleth, modern bands who are still doing it. In fact, I think they may have a member who went on to be in Winterfilleth. But yeah, this was like early to mid 2000s UK black metal, so sort of middle to late second wave. Really super atmospheric. I think this rivals anything that came out of Scandinavia during this time period. It's incredibly I'm glad you have it. It's a perfect record. It is like 75 minutes long, and I don't feel the length at all. I love listening to this record front to back. Album art incredibly evocative, so beautiful. And yeah, I mean, just killer melodies. Like these guys really, really knew how to. There's a lot of UK black metal bands that are kind of really strange and kind of very, very unique. And then there's a lot of bands who are just carbon copies of what was coming out of Scandinavia. I think these guys really forged that middle path where they took what they clearly loved about the Scandinavian sound and they made it distinctly British. And obviously all the songs are about English countryside and English paganism. And they just really made it into its own thing. I think a lot of people credit them with kickstarting this atmospheric black metal scene in the UK. And I just can't say enough good things about this band. I don't like their next record, Curse, quite as much. It's still very good. But yeah, this one, I come back to this one every single year without fail. It is an immensely beautiful record, and I find something new to love about it every time I listen to it. That would be incredible. I would probably buy that.
Yeah, I like the remember seeing the vinyl. I don't know if it was you guys. I'm assuming you guys, Marty, did that other pressing because the artwork on the vinyl was so killer. I mean, I love the CD. I had to I got this for a decent price off eBay because like it's been long out of press for quite some time. So it's good to hear, Marty, that you guys are gonna put that out again. It's cool. Yeah, dude. I mean, I really enjoyed the follow up as well, but this one is exceptional. I mean, in terms of English black metal. I mean, I've really come around to Winterfire as well. I mean, just another great band. But Wooden's Throne, it's too bad that they didn't continue on. But there's another band, some of those guys on Marty's label called Nemeris, and I don't know if you've checked that out. It's quite different. It's not. It's a little bit more like an older kind of Opeth kind of feel. I felt, but
it didn't scratch the same itch. I do really like it, but I saw it and I was like, wow, like it's the dudes in Woden's Throne, and then it just wasn't quite what I wanted. But that is a very good band. Yeah,
kind of curious to see what they're going to do next. And then there's I think I could be wrong about this, but there was another band that was on Bindrune called Ahamkara. Was one of those guys in Woden's Throne as well, Marty? But have you heard that record, Ryan? Because
I haven't. I'm looking on Encyclopedia Metallum, but yes, one of them was.
Man, yeah, I think you'd really dig that one too.
I'll put that right on the list.
Yeah, man,
that album is phenomenal. The Ahamkara album.
Yeah,
like
that's another one and done.
Yeah, the album art looks.
Yeah, it's good. Well, the vocalist passed away.
Oh.
Right.
I don't remember if it was like a terminal disease type of thing or what it was, but it was a very, like, he wasn't expected to pass away, and then it was a natural cause. It's kind of, I can't remember what caused it, but yeah, because the main dude, the main musician, I forget his name now. I'm brain farting, but he had posted and he had talked about that they were starting new music, but they didn't have enough to, put out like a posthumous release or anything like that, if I recall correctly. But yeah, that's an album I come back to as well. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Marty.
Yeah, I kind of thought that Hamkara was a one and done, so good to hear that they continued it, because that was kind of went under the radar as well. Really good one.
Shit, I didn't know there was going to be an actual new album. Well, I am mucho excited then. Because that music is friggin' awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Great pick, Ryan. All right, Russ.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't heard of Amkara. I'll check that out. Okay, so next pick. Back to Polska. We're gonna do. I don't even know how to pronounce this. I don't know if this is a Polish word or name or anything, but I'll put it in the chat. It's Pripgol. The band is Pripgol, and the album is Na Statnim Szlaku. On the last trail. They are this album came out I think 2 years ago, I believe. It's just a one guy project. It's like epic. It's epic pagan black metal is what it is. I feel like I've been talking a lot about pagan metal. Yeah, so you can kind of see from that picture, what you're gonna get. It had like I was talking earlier about Stvorj, and that's pagan metal, but more fast. This one is more of like mid-tempo, kind of epic, heavy metal vibes to it. It's absolutely amazing. This album is so good. There's folk instrumentation. There's plenty of guitar solos. The songwriting is awesome. It's great. I've read comments that like this guy, whoever he is just like a gem of the Polish scene. Just an amazing musician. But yeah, just very, very epic pagan metal. I think the lyrics have to do mainly with obvious paganism, Polish paganism, folklore, nature, influenced typical stuff. But yeah, there's some synths in this, not a whole bunch. There's some good acoustic guitar, but not a lot. Maybe at the intro of a song or the end of a song, but it's mainly just electric guitar driven. Very big sound, very melodic. Not many black. There's like one proper black metal song on it. Full blast beats and everything, but yeah, very atmospheric. Put on a rainy day or whenever you want. But I highly recommend this. I'd never heard of them before. I think this is their newest of 3 albums he has. But yeah, Praipagal, whatever that means.
Well, I definitely need to check that out.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I mean,
Yeah, oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. Yes, please do.
Hey, what's going on, Kellen? That's for sure, man. You're gonna get a lot of that here.
Yeah, sorry, one track mind for me.
We'll pull out some surprises, I'm sure, on these last few. But all right, Dan.
Well, in my attempts to balance the scales with something that is neither new nor particularly extreme, nor I don't know, particularly like anything else that we've heard, or obscure, I should say. I would be remiss to not bring up how much I've been listening to Typo Negative recently. I recently read Jeff Wagner's biography of Peter Steele, which was reprinted after being out of print for quite a while. And it just, I mean, it kind of set me on this quest to like really get to know that entire catalog, because it's really rich. Like every bit of it is like totally worth giving time to, and that book is really fantastic in terms of kind of exploring the person as well as the musician that Pete Steele was. And yeah, that's it's kind of an important band for me because they were the first metal band I actually ever saw live, like way back in '95, I guess it was, when they were on tour with Pantera. And it's been really cool because that music is so great. And for the longest time, I was kind of like I knew Bloody Kisses pretty well. I knew October Rust pretty well, and October Rust is still probably my favorite record of theirs. But this, like, I never really got Slow, Deep, and Hard or Origin of the Feces. But reading this and like knowing about his trajectory through Carnivore and everything, like made me like really listen to Carnivore a lot more, and which absolutely totally made it click. Slow, Deep, and Hard and Origin of Feces, they're really awesome records, and you see the through line so well if you have that context of Carnivore. And yes, absolutely, World Coming Down is incredible, and it's right up there for me now, with October Rust being a favorite. And it's super rich. And this is a band that was immensely popular, sold tons of records, and had albums filled with like 9, 10, 12-minute songs that are incredibly complex. None of the albums sound the same. A lot of, like, some of those albums like have programmed drums, and you would like, I had no idea that like three of those albums have programmed drums. Like Johnny Kelly didn't play on an album until like the very last album. It's insane, the musicianship in that band. And yeah, I highly recommend if you have any interest in that band, getting a copy of that book while it's still in print and reading it. It was hugely, oh my gosh, hugely important for me personally, given the stuff that I'm going through in my life, to read that book and listen to that music, feeling all the feels and being up in the mountains, reading and listening to that stuff. Jimmy and I think we listened to both Slow Deep and Hard and October Rust while we were camping at certain points. And yeah, it was awesome. Great hiking albums, great albums in general. And they will be classics forever.
Hell yeah. One of my best friends in growing up, all through school, diehard Typo Negative fan. Like, we were getting all those albums when they first came out, and he actually, at a local college radio station, he actually found the OG pressing of Origin of the Feces with but he found it was like 50 cents at campus radio garage sale, and
oh my god,
I think they just let him have it. Like, he went to pay for it, and they're just like, just take it.
But we don't want this in our store anymore.
but it wasn't even the store. It was just old CDs that they're recycling through from the radio station. But no, he got the Hammer gear like tattooed on his wrist, and like,
oh, that's awesome.
And we actually got to see Typo Negative on the Life Is Killing Me tour down in Portland, and it was really weird because there was like 5 of us from Alaska to go see Typo Negative, and everyone else was there to see Nevermore, who opened for them. Like, nobody was fucking into Typo Negative except for us, and we were extremely disappointed and very put off by the Portland crowd.
I don't think a band as provocative as Typo Negative would go over well in Portland.
Yeah, like everyone was shitting bricks for Nevermore, and meanwhile I'm standing there, every song sounding exactly the same. But no, Typo Negative was a huge like influence for my friend, and I was really into them because of him. So yeah, that's awesome. That's a great pick.
Yeah, that dude's life was insane, and the way it ended is like one of the most devastating things. Like, hearing in detail with accounts from people that were around when that was going on, it's just like, absolutely devastating.
I think during the Life Is Killing Me tour, I think he was sick during that.
Yeah, he would have been.
He didn't. I mean, he still put on a great show, and everything was great. And my buddy got to meet him. Like, they weren't letting people backstage, and he smooth talked his way into like meeting Peter Steele, and so because he was so inspired by Peter Steele. So, but no, I got a lot of good memories of Typo Negative growing up.
For sure, hugely important band for me too, from way back.
Absolutely. But I did not know that about the program drums. That's Josh Silver did most of the programming, but Johnny Kelly advised him on fills and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not real drums on October Rust, World Coming Down, and Life Is Killing Me. Program. Sure sounds real to me. Yeah, no kidding, man. And when those came out, I don't think drum patches were that great then. But
wild. Yeah, they knew their shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was the last record, right? So,
yeah.
October Rust is a mainstay for Campfire. Just works, whatever reason. But I had never really listened to Slow Deep and Hard when we were listening to that night. I was really quite amazed at how different it was.
It's outrageous, and there's so much Carnivore on that album. So much New York hardcore.
A lot of carryover.
Yep, and very, very provocative.
Great album.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yep, I got that for sure.
I'm pretty sure my buddy was wooing gothic girlfriends with that album at that time.
I think he was too when he made the record.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Actually, my buddy, I don't suspect he was. I know he was for a fact. So, yeah.
They're one of those
Shit.
bands, man. There aren't a lot of them out there.
Shit, I need to go back and listen to all those albums again.
Yeah, do it. It's
Yeah.
like listen to them all 3 times. Like you won't get bored because they're so dense with ideas.
Oh man, yeah.
Cool. Yep, my girlfriend's friend. Gotta love that one. All right, so I'm gonna devolve a little bit on my next pick as well. But man, I've just been listening to the hell out of this, and it's just really quite impressive release off $20 spin. Is Lunar Chambers, Shambolic Vibrations, and this man, it's just an EP and new band. Don't really know anything about these guys, but really strong release. Everything about this in terms of the music is like, for the most part, right up my alley. I'm not like so much, I don't want to like call it like tech death or anything, but I mean, there's an element of tech death in here, but there's so much more I feel to it than just kind of like sterile, kind of just technical death metal. This band reminds me, do you guys remember probably about 15 years ago, a band called Lycothea Aflame?
Yes.
This was a band from I think they were from the Czech Republic, and they put out one record, and it was very much like this sort of hyperspeed, brutal death metal with like, Middle Eastern kind of, progressive like tones to it. And it was a one and done, and it's still to this day kind of a renowned, revered, brutal death metal record. Not that this really sounds like that, but it just gives me kind of the same vibe. This is, it's kind of a proggy tech, but brutal death. But they seamlessly mix more of an atmospheric and melodic sense. Very much like sounds like what the cover art looks like. Though you wouldn't expect this to be like brutal death if you look at it, but not that that's, encompasses what this band is, but, being a first effort EP, $20 spin has a knack for finding all the new shit that's really good in terms of just the death metal realm. And this, I mean, it's got a lot going on, but compositionally, it just you would have thought that these guys have been playing for, and they probably have been playing for years, but would have released a lot of stuff for many years. I mean, it's fairly good, lengthy EP. Like, I wouldn't have wanted it to be any longer than it is, but it just goes through a lot of peaks and valleys, a lot of vibes to it, very dynamic. And that's when I say that it really kind of pushes all the buttons that I look for when it comes to like a proggy or progressive death metal, whatever you want to call it. I hate to use that term because like that can apply to a lot of things. And I just think that this, it's got so many different extremes where it goes, but it just meshes it all so nicely. But every musician shines on this, the drumming, there's some crazy guitar stuff. I mean, borderline necrophagist style, neoclassical solos. Even the bass player, it's like fretless bass, sounds like, channeling DiGiorgio. But and it's all packaged in this sort of, Hinduistic sort of vibe. Very much about, the inner outer self, or however you want to classify that sort of, meditational, state of being. But wow, I mean, this really, I just can't stop listening to it. It's just really does it well. I can't wait for the, impending full length. I would expect that these guys are going to record again. But yeah, it's just really, really awesome stuff, man. And I can't get enough of it. As far as like, when we're talking to, death metal, for me, I kind of need something a little bit extra. I mean, I like a lot of new death metal that's coming out, but when, to do something like this is very difficult to pull off. Again, bringing in some of those more like cynic type stuff or atheist, even some Gorguts in there. I mean, you can throw all that together and they just make it just flow so nicely. So Lunar Chamber, very, very cool stuff.
Yeah, that the impending full length that I hope comes out is at the top of my most anticipated list. That record's killer, and I don't normally like open up EPs to be on like my year-end list or whatever, but I don't know if I can avoid it in that case because it's such a good record. And despite having a lot of the same elements that you would think of with Cynic, like the bass playing, the soloing, the Eastern philosophy sort of stuff, they managed to not really sound that much like Cynic. Like the production is completely different. The vibe, the actual musical content is quite a bit different. It's killer, and I appreciate you for introducing me to it. I remember seeing it when 20 Bucks Ben like was promoting it, but I didn't really give it much thought. Just had bigger fish to fry at that point. But it's been one of my biggest listens for sure.
Yeah.
As far as like death metal stuff is concerned. But and it's a lot more than that too, though. There's a lot of really good clean vocals. Like there's a lot of doomy sort of stuff on there too. The soloing is really good, really creative. It's impressive, but it's not like wanky at all.
Yeah, I mean it's again, like there's every day, many death metal bands I like that are just doing the same kind of stuff, but these bands like this that are coming out that have more of an atmospheric, or cosmic vibe, or that's kind of my bread and butter as far as like death metal these days. So yeah, man, good shit for sure. Glad you dug it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Tyler.
So yeah, having us both have the Udall album kind of threw me off. I've lost count where my picks are, but I'm gonna start getting into some modern stuff that I've been spinning of late because now I've just been getting them in the mail recently, and some stuff that's been kind of standing out. And we were just talking about this album yesterday, day before, and that's the debut of the Offness.
Oh yeah,
man. Let's see, what was the title of this? Time Held Me Gray and Dying. So UK black metal just came out on Natramat Productions. The main vocalist in this, he has projects like Black Pyre, which is very traditional second wave rooted type of black metal, but he's a really prolific and really shreddy type of guitar player. He doesn't play guitar in this, but best way to describe Offness, it's not quite like Emperor, but there's moments that kind of remind me of Emperor or that era of the symphonic and melodic black metal, but they're not overtly symphonic. I mean, they have symphonic moments, but it's very second wave, very guitar driven, very big sounding black metal. And I think, what was it? How did it? I made a post for the Order of the Black Arts page on Instagram about this, and I think I described it as something as huge second wave interest or influence as seen through a modern lens. Like it's very modern in its songwriting and its arrangement, but it's very much like late 90s, early 2000s Emperor, Dimmu Borgir, like that style, if that makes sense. Like there's a classic heavy metal streak that kind of lies underneath, I guess is a way to describe it. I mean, I need more time with this. I need more spins, but I've listened to it a couple times now, just ran it through, and just it blew me away. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this lands somewhere on my list for the end of the year. I don't think like top 10 or anything like that, but definitely somewhere on the list. Yeah, I mean, I know a couple of you guys were listening to it and like, how would you guys describe this? I mean, it's like everything I listen to is obviously second wave inspired, but I don't know. There's something like a little bit different about this. Like there's a very bleak atmosphere, but it's not depressive. Like, I don't know. It's hard to describe, except that it's brilliant and it's very, very well done and just very, very good. Just very damn good stuff.
Yeah, I just listened to it yesterday, but I'm struggling to come up with,
because like there's moments. Yeah, there's moments on the album you're like, oh man, that reminds me of. Wait, who does that remind me of? And then you can't think of who it reminds you of, but you've heard it. But it's, I don't know, the way they present it. Like I said, I think that's the best way to describe it. It's second wave black metal as seen through a modern lens, like as far as modern songwriting and arrangements. So I mean, it's like I said, yeah, it's new school, but it's got that old school vibe, and it's really damn good. And it seems like they're gaining some steam. They've been playing some bigger festivals in Europe. I think they played like Bloodstock or something, like one of the smaller stages over there recently.
I would love to go to Bloodstock eventually. Seems
right?
Like really great bands playing.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, I got through one whole listen to it, and I really enjoyed it. I'm probably going to pick it up as well. It's, I don't know. It's. I mean, these guys are. Where are they from? Yeah, they do kind of sound like UK black metal in a way. I don't know. Just for some reason, there's sort of a sound there, but
but it doesn't sound like Winterfelleth or Woden's Throne or anything like that.
No, it doesn't. Maybe like some of the tones, like the vocals, like I guess there was more of maybe a little bit more depressive, but I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of hard to put my finger on, to be honest. But it's very well produced, well played, good variation, good melodies. I mean, I don't know.
I'm definitely going to go back to it. I'm going to be listening to it a lot more in the coming, days, weeks, whatever. But yeah, I mean, hell of a debut. And I'm actually friends with the vocalist on Facebook, because I was buying like the Black Pyre stuff through him, and he actually did some digital art for me that I was going to use for Rubizol, but it didn't pan out. Like I bought the art, but now I'm just kind of sitting on this digital art and with like nothing to do with it. And but no, he's a super cool dude, and like he's very passionate about the music, and he's actually the guy who did the production on it. He produced it himself. So I mean, he definitely has an ear for the sound, for the style. But yeah, like I said, it's we're all stumped on how to describe it, but it's not because it sucks. It's just it's familiar, but it's not like.
It definitely had its own thing. I felt like it felt fresh to me,
Well, actually, the one of the things I liked about this album is the clean vocals, but it's a very baritone style. Like he wasn't trying to do like real dramatic singing. It was very it was just very kind of deep and I don't know, dare say gothic in a way, I guess. But it fit with the music, like. Because sometimes bands will kind of shoehorn elements like that to try to sound like progressive and whatever. But I don't know, like the vocals fit, like everything fits, like everything fits together as it should. But yeah, it's murky, but it's not. It's depressing, but it's not depressing. Like I don't know, like it. You people just have to hear it. Like you just got to listen to it and come up with a good descriptor that. We obviously cannot come up with.
Gonna have to listen to it some more, but great recommendation though, man.
Yeah, and like I said, I know it's kind of ballsy because I literally just got this real recently, but I was blown away. Like it's on the first full spin and then subsequent listens after that, and I was just like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to. It's gonna get on the list somewhere. I can feel it.
We're saving the best for last, Jeff, for sure.
That's coming. I got you, Jeff.
He likes Cradle of Filth, so he's got something going for him, right?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, Ryan.
All right. Unless my memory is failing me, I think I have the first non-metal pick of the evening. Although they are on Encyclopedia Metallum. So there is a project called Gnaw Their Tongues. I'm not super well versed in all the sub genres of noise and power electronics, but as far as I understand it, Northern Tongues is what is called death industrial, which has nothing to do with death metal. It's just like it's an offshoot of the industrial scene that went in a very, very dark direction. So Northern Tongues is like it's just really harsh. It's atonal. It's not really musical. It's sort of more soundscapey, but it's just incredibly dark, bleak music. I need to be in the mood for it, but for some reason the past few weeks I have been in the mood for it. Let me get this album name right. The one I've been listening to a lot lately is called All the Dread Magnificence of Perversity. Really kind of scary album cover on that one. Yeah, I mean, I don't quite know how to describe this if you're not already familiar with death industrial as a genre, but it's just sort of like, think of like harsh noise, but it's like it has a ambience, like a soundscape to it, and a lot of the times it has like a rhythmic element, which is something like, as someone who's into extreme metal, probably most people have had this moment where they try to get into noise. Yeah, but like, I mean, definitely, but like without the metal elements, I would say. Actually, I'm pretty sure he did a collaboration with Dragon to Sunlight, which is really cool. Like, you know, like industrial sort of scary type black metal. But yeah, I mean, this is not like it says it's black metal. He has a few releases that are like very raw black metal, but by and large, this is just like noise. It's just like, I don't know. It's like the soundtrack to a really disturbing horror movie or something. I don't know. There's something about this that scratches an itch for me if I'm ever in the mood for something like genuinely unpleasant and genuinely unsettling. Like a lot of black metal, you know, I love black metal to death. It's my favorite style of music by far, but a lot of it can be a little cartoonish at times. This just feels genuinely scary and sort of transgressive. Yeah. It is. I mean, he has done a lot, and I haven't even listened to half of it. The collaboration with Dragon Sunlight is great, and that's a good place to start if you like metal and you're curious about like trying this genre out. The Dragon to Sunlight collaboration, I think it was 2015. It's probably on his NV right there in 2015. This was a really cool record, and they used a lot of like samples from like real interviews with serial killers and stuff like that. I remember someone in Dragged Into Sunlight saying they were like genuinely uncomfortable with like releasing this because it was like pretty disturbing. And I know that sounds kind of gimmicky and that sounds kind of like a sales pitch, but like when you listen to it, you kind of see what he's talking about. Like it's pretty dark, and when you really consider that like these are real people who have killed people, and like, you know, family members of their victims are still alive, and to like take what they're saying and like incorporate it into a musical context, it's a pretty serious thing to do. Yeah, that's a good description. Yeah, Lustmord. It's like Lustmord, but like as like with the frightening aspect turned up to 10. Lustmord you can kind of chill out and relax to, but this is not like relaxing music at all. I don't even know if it's appropriate to call it music really, but yeah, I mean, this is something I listen to sort of if I'm like not quite in the mood for metal, but I'm still wanting to engage with something kind of dark. Not sure it's going to be everyone's cup of tea. I don't know that I would necessarily endorse it 100%. But if anything I've said sounds interesting to you, give the album I suggested a listen, or give this collaboration a listen. Both solid pieces of music or sound, whatever the appropriate descriptor would be.
It's quite the discography.
He has done a lot. I think it's probably similar to raw black metal, where like when you're just doing like ambient or just like digital stuff. I mean, he might record analog, but in just the process of creating noise or death industrial or whatever the fuck it's called, it's probably a little simpler than writing like melodic music that needs to be varied and interesting. With this, you can sort of record something droning and add layers and just sort of like probably pump out a composition in a couple hours if you want. Again, not to say it's low effort. It's just scary, and it's just a different approach to recording audio than traditional metal music is. So yeah, this is really cool. There are people who could talk about this project way more with way more knowledge than I could. It's just something I'm sort of passively interested in. But yeah, this is really cool project.
Sweet. And I'll apologize in advance. Like I keep bringing up comments when people are talking, so I don't mean to like throw you off when you guys are talking about stuff. I just like.
I personally like it because
Okay.
I can feel my gears spinning, and then seeing a comment gives me something solid to latch
Yeah.
onto. Where I'm
I
like,
just noticed a couple of times. I noticed a couple of times I interrupted, so my bad.
no, it's all good. I genuinely prefer it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget people are watching us, but like, you know, it's if people are saying stuff that's relevant, you know, it's worth responding to. So
Cool.
Yeah, some of those album titles are something else.
he is, he's not apologetic about the content of what he's doing.
You know what you're getting into, I guess.
Yeah.
That's great. I have heard of that. I think one of my friends listens to them, but I've never listened to them. Okay, so what do we got next? Let's, I guess since we're on a really dark, evil sounding note, I'll go with this one I've been listening to a lot. It's 2023, so it's this year came out. It's Sever at Midnight by Torchlight. So this, I don't really know much about them. I think they just have one EP, and this is their first full length. I believe it's just one guy. It's just really, really. I think they're American. I think he's American. I'm not sure, but yeah, just really dark, like, super dark, brutal and violent sounding. Good. I love the production. It's slightly raw. It's got like a live sound, which it's perfect. It's not overproduced. American, yeah. The vocals are really, I don't know, like they're just spoken word at times, but for whatever reason, I don't know, like the effect they're using, they're just so creepy and like scary sounding. But having said all of that, there's still some really great hooks in it, some melodic moments, a lot of the songs are, you know, very trance-inducing. The second song is a bit of a curveball. It kind of slows things up. It's just kind of like a longer, I don't know, mid-paced kind of song. That one's okay, but a lot of these are just like like I said, I can't really say much about it. It's just dark and really evil sounding, but just some amazing like riffs and trance-inducing moments, beautiful moments for how evil it does sound. And I just can't stop listening to it. It's an awesome album. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have. It looks like Ryan's listened to it, but if you guys have anything to add.
I've not heard of this one.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It's incredibly intense, but it does have beautiful moments. It also, like, sometimes I get hyper aware of like how vague some of these descriptors are, but to me, it does sound very USBN. Like, it doesn't really sound like it's trying too hard to be European.
Yeah,
I feel like at this late in the existence of the genre, the US has its own distinct like black metal identity, and I think this is definitely leaning into that. It feels a little nature worshipy while still more intense than something like Wolves in the Throne Room.
Yeah, way more intense. I'd say more like gritty. It's got like a real grime to it.
Yeah,
but still
almost raw, but not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a really cool record. I'm very glad you showed me this one.
Yeah, but some just great like moments in it, just where you just kind of lose yourself in the song. It's just the riffs are just repetitive and just like going and going. But yeah, I don't know. It's a great album. Yeah. I was surprised with how much I would like it after hearing the first song, how brutal it sounds, but it's great.
It's a great album name too.
It is, yeah. Isn't that an awesome album name? Yeah. At Midnight by Torchlight.
Sounds awesome, Russ. Boy, we got some homework to do after this. All right, Dan.
So my next thing doesn't come out for a couple weeks. but it's something that I'm super excited about because it's music by a friend and colleague of mine, and I think this is the first time I've actually brought in something from kind of my own musical circle, which the music that I make with my band and with other groups that I sing in, do a lot of like kind of new classical that it crosses over into other genres. Um, and yeah, this composer that actually wrote for Roomful of Teeth a few years back, a guy named Harry Stopalakis, and I'll put it in the comments. Hopefully that pops up. He's got a new record coming out, and it's actually coming out on the same label that Roomful of Teeth releases music through, New Amsterdam Records. There are a couple of advanced tracks out at this point. You can find them on Spotify and Bandcamp for sure. One of the advanced tracks features Javier Reyes from Animals as Leaders. It's music that
Oh, nice.
so Harry is a very, very good metal guitarist. He used to play in bands. I think he's from Toronto, I want to say. We nerded out big time about like Death and Nevermore when he was working on this big piece that he wrote for Roomful of Teeth. He actually invited us to Winnipeg because he was curating this new music festival with the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, and we premiered this piece by him there. But he had also written a piece for Animals as Leaders to perform with the Winnipeg Symphony, and they were there too. He's a really interesting guy. The music on this record is all going to be for like chamber ensemble, like standard kind of what you would think of as classical instruments. But he's really creative in terms of using extended techniques for these instruments, and also using elements that we would recognize as metal people as being musical elements, but played by instruments that we wouldn't normally expect to hear playing this type of music. I feel fairly certain that all the music is instrumental on this record that's coming out. I'm fairly certain that the two tracks that you can listen to right now are instrumental, but might be something to kind of bring. If you're interested in hearing something a little bit different that has some familiar features, this dude is super cool guy. I've enjoyed talking to him and the times that I've gotten to chat with him, and he's a great composer, like a really, really cool composer. And the piece that he wrote for us is super cool. It's like a half an hour multi-movement piece. I hope we record it sometime because I really enjoyed learning it. It's really fucking hard too. So it'd be great if we could put it down. But yeah, I'm excited to listen to this album when it comes out in its entirety, but I've enjoyed listening to the advanced tracks that have come out so far.
It says it has one of the guys from Lepros in there as well.
Oh yeah, that seems right. Yeah, he's pretty good at kind of bringing the worlds together, which I appreciate. I'm kind of trying to do that in my little subtle way as well, as evidenced by the little smatterings of extreme vocals that I contributed on the new Roomful of Teeth album. So we're working our way, in from the inside.
That sounds cool. I was very into like almost aggressively technical music in high school, and I sort of drifted away from that as I aged, but still have a deep appreciation for it.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be checking that out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a little different.
I still dig stuff like that, like Animals as Leaders and Plenty. Just like
Plenty's awesome. Oh,
Plenty's amazing.
I forgot about that project.
Yeah. He's still going.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to backtrack and see what I've missed.
I mean, like it's a good balance to, because it's very kind of more like uplifting, positive, music, but it's so well written, and like I feel like he has like kind of more of the, like it's not overly like a wank fest kind of guitar thing that you might get from some of those other types of projects. You know, it's kind of more, you know, it's technical in a way, very musical, but it's yeah, I don't know, it's really cool stuff. I always like Plenty. Kind of wondering if that's going to be kind of in a similar kind of vibe. Cool, fan.
Yeah, you bet. I just saw James's comment about liturgy too, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, because the kind of founder of my band actually sent me sent me a note about liturgy. I was shocked to see that, because he's not a metal guy at all, but like liturgy's definitely a band that has kind of made itself known in the more kind of new classical scene amongst composers that are kind of drawn to more aggressive music. I haven't listened to the new one yet, but yeah, their stuff is definitely very, very thought provoking. It's not always 100% my cup of tea, but I do appreciate it. I do appreciate what they're doing too. Same for like Imperial Triumphant, that kind of thing. You know, that's kind of more on the jazz side, but they're also an interesting band that has gotten some play.
Really upset with myself, because that is a band that I just like, they finally clicked this year, and that would have been an obvious choice for this stream, and I just completely blanked. But like, man, I don't know what happened, but I just get it now, and I love that project.
Yeah, totally.
Sweet. All right, we're whittling it down, getting close. So I went reaching pretty far back. My inspiration for listening to this record is anticipating their new one, and kind of devolving quite a bit as well, is Deceased with As the Weird Travel On. And
yeah.
I love this band. I've always loved this band. This band, I go back to my teenage years, you know, one of the first Nuclear Blasts, I guess they were Nuclear Blast or Relapse bands. The first like Nuclear Blast comp I bought had Deceased, and been a fan since. I've always just really enjoyed their sort of tongue-in-cheek horror movie, you know, death metal meets thrash metal. They've always kind of, you know, found a fine line between being a death metal or a thrash metal band, but always keeping that old, you know, old school spirits in the music, you know, in terms of just old traditional heavy metal, in terms of the riffs and the way that they, the dual guitars, and they've always kind of maintained that sort of level. You know, they never really deviated too much in terms of like, you know, the first couple records are a little bit more death metal. They kind of like, then they started kind of going more thrash, and they've kind of been a hybrid, you know, since then, but they've always been pretty consistent. And, you know, I can't really speak to like the entire discography. I'm probably missing a couple here and there, but Dread Records has been putting out these tapes recently. I've just been buying them up as they've been re-releasing stuff. But I don't know. I've even heard King say that, like, I don't know if this is like his, would say that like this was like their most inspired record, but for some reason for me, I find this to be at least my favorite. I just think that they really honed in their songwriting on this, and some Deceased records tend to be, you know, they're as good as they are, they tend to be a bit, you know, long-winded. Some of the songs are usually could use about 2 minutes trimming, you know, a little bit too long on some of the albums, but this is like the one record where I feel like every single song is really good, memorable, stands apart from each song. And it just, I don't know, it just features like some of their best soloing too. And just a dual guitar attack. I don't think King played drums on this one. I think this might've been the first one he didn't. Could be wrong on that, but I don't know. It's just, I really enjoyed the last one they released, Ghostly Whites. That one was just a lot of fun. I love that they just, they're kind of like a nostalgia band for me. And it's not only, you know, as they are, you know, nostalgic for me, just as their existence in terms of discovering them and, you know, as a teenager, but all the movies, like all the horror vibe, that's like the kind of horror movies I dig, are just like the 70s and 80s. And they kind of like have always retained that spirit in the music and like kind of the lyrics and things. And just, you know, they've never been like a gore band or anything like that. So I kind of more just, they've always been traditional horror kind of thing. And I just really appreciate that about these guys. You know, they're still going strong. I mean, King's getting old, but he's, you know, I think they're actually touring again pretty soon. I've never even seen him live, but yeah, I don't know. I just like, randomly started pulling Deceased stuff out, knowing that they're about to release a new one. And yeah, man, it's just a good, fun band that's always, they've always kind of maintained a level in the underground as well. They've never really quite broken that barrier, but they've existed very comfortably, in the underground and kind of knowing what their niche is and not really deviating for that. And, there's something to be appreciated about that, because a lot of bands I like to see bands, grow, experiment, figure out who they are, sometimes break a certain boundary that, you may not want them to break. But a band like Deceased, they exist where they do. They always have, they always will. They always kept that spirit, and I really appreciate that about them. And I really look forward to the next record, because Ghostly White was badass. But this one, anybody, if I was to tell somebody to check out Deceased, I would say As the Weird Travel On is the one, for me, that it just scratches that Deceased Up the Tombstones itch that I need every now and then. So yeah, killer band, man.
I love that band.
Yeah, Deceased
Really
is
good.
awesome.
Yeah, I don't know that album as well, actually.
Oh, dude, you gotta get this one.
Listen to that one more. I've listened to Fearless Undead Machines and Supernatural Addiction. Those are the two that I've listened to the most, probably. But their new stuff is really good too. I actually saw them last year in Philly, play for 30 people at this tiny club, and it was awesome. And King was just hanging out in front of the club after the show, talking to people for hours. And yeah, I talked to him for a little bit. Yeah, it's just he's the real deal. One of those guys that totally walks like Kelly Schaefer, from Atheist, same sort of thing. Just as genuine, wants to hang out with folks. Yeah, love that band.
Yeah, and
Super
King is
unique.
he's an underground heavy metal historian as well. He's just wealth of
you can tell by
knowledge.
their music.
Mhm.
It's got everything in it. It's got classic heavy metal. It's got death metal, all the George Romero sort of tropes, and a lot of that stuff's just killer.
All right, Tyler.
All right, so for my next one, I'm very thankful that this release, Werewolf Promotions put this out. They put the English translations for the band name, the album title, and all the song titles on the back. But Gromavers is Drevla, I believe is how you pronounce that. But, obviously very Cyrillic and very Russian. So this is the new album by one String Scald, who is the musician and the composer for Volnut, and Temnazor and a slew of other bands. Controversial bands, I guess, in a way. But this album, so when I first heard this, I immediately was like, oh, this sounds like a long lost Temnazor album. And then you read the notes about it, and these are all songs that String Scald had written in various levels of completion between 2001 and 2010 in his time with Temnazor. So this, by all accounts, is basically a new Temnazor album, but with his songwriting on it. So musically speaking, it's very pagan black metal. But if you're familiar with the old Temnazor stuff, they have dudes just going ham on flute. And I'm not talking pan flute. I'm not talking Native American wood flute. I'm talking Ian Anderson flute. And this album, same thing. I think Ryan, listened to it, and he was kind of put off by all the flute action on it. But I love it. There's a campiness to it, and I don't know. There's a certain atmosphere that invokes that is just extremely. It no better way to describe it than Russian.
How do you spell it again, Tyler?
What's that?
How do you spell it again? I wanted to bring it up.
Actually, I have it in. I put it in our.
Oh, it's in the chat. Okay,
yeah, it's in. But yeah. So anyway, so every song on this is an absolute mini epic. Each track is 10 plus minutes. The sixth song on here Volgas Sword in 6 parts is a 27-minute song. But unlike a lot of bands that I have in my collection and a lot of bands I've seen, they write like an epically long song. And you guys probably know what I mean when a band feels like they kind of force it. They overextend parts. They put too much shit in. They do whatever to make it a long song. That song is actually a highlight on this album. And each section, the way it flows, like I actually forget that it's actually one song. It was one of those deals. I was just listening to it last night, and that song is going through, and a lot of different passages, a lot of different things happening. And then I was like, oh yeah, this is still one song. But I don't know. It's aggressive. There's a lot of sing-songy, I guess for lack of a better term, like Viking metal stuff going on with it. And actually, speaking of Viking metal, the follow-up track, Dragons of the Sea, it's probably one of the best nods to Hammerheart era Bathory, but with much better vocals. It's all clean vocals, but it's not Hawthorne's off-key wailing. It's actually very well sung, but it's just that slow driving, almost like Doom-like pace, but it invokes that atmosphere of being out in the ocean, like in a long boat. And it's kind of hard to track down because there's no Bandcamp page. They don't have a YouTube link. It's only on the Werewolf Promotion site out of Poland. But another thing I got to highlight on this is look how thick that fucking booklet is. And it's a heavy cardstock. Like everything's got really fantastic art throughout. I mean, this is a well put together package, for a fairly regarded artist in the underground scene. And I remember seeing in, I can't remember which forum page it was on, but String Scald himself was on there in regards to the controversy with like the different versions of the Volnut albums that were coming out. And he was talking about how he was writing like a very pagan black metal album, and he wasn't sure when it was going to be released. Well, this is it. This is that album he was talking about. So I was kind of stoked about that. Anyway, as you guys know, I'm a giant nerd for that band or anything that guy's done, and I like this kind of campy, super Eurocentric, goofy folk inspired black metal. It's not going to be for everyone. Like I said, the guys go ham on the flutes, and it's not like they're playing bad music, and it's not they're playing poorly. It's just I think it might be a little off-putting for some people just having all that traditional flute action kind of sometimes dominating the music. But I'm here for it. I really like it a lot.
I was very excited to listen to that after we had the flute conversation. And yeah, there's a lot of flute.
Well, it's funny in the listings, he has like 3 different people that all played flute on this.
3 flautists.
Yeah, he found 3 different flautists.
Yeah,
Scouring the land for the best players. He wants them all. Oh my gosh, it was good though.
I love it. I can't wait.
Album. There's a lot there, but
I don't think I got through it, but they're not all going to be winners. And I just shocked. It's one of the guys in Volknut, which is like the best Russian black metal band ever.
It's the dude from Volnut.
Yeah, so it's just like I mean, it just goes to show. But you know what? That speaks to his credit that he can do such drastically different styles and nail them both.
Well, like I said, if you're familiar with the old Temnazor discography at all, I think the big album for them was it called Folkstorm and the Azure Nights, I think is the English translation. Like that's his songwriting. Like that was him writing all the songs in that era. So I listened to this and I was like, it sounds like a continuation of that album. But then, yeah, like I said, come to find out. So I kind of imagine this is a situation like, I don't know. Do all you guys have the Bathory Blood on Ice, perchance?
Right.
So in the liner or in the booklet for that, Quorthon writes this really long, drawn out thing about how that album was created, and how the original rough form was actually in between Bloodfire Death and Hammerheart. But then something happened. He put the tapes away, or tapes got lost, or whatever the case. And then he found the tapes. He found all the old ideas, and then he kind of refurbished them, re-recorded them, and then put out Blood on Ice. I feel like it's a similar situation here. I think these are all just riff ideas and song ideas that he had written down and recorded, and then just kind of put it away, and then just, hey, maybe I should pull this out. Oh, also, Ryan, you should probably know that Volnut dude, String Skull, also has like a stoner doom band as well.
I may like it. I mean,
that seems to be his main. That seems to be his main project. Like, he actually tours and plays gigs with that one.
That's interesting. I was just listening to Volnut before we started streaming. It's a perfect record. I wish they did more. I guess they're not technically broken up, right?
Yeah, like I said, there's a whole lawsuit thing, because the guy who only did vocals on it. That was his only contribution, and well, he was the label that put it out, in a very sketchy label, but that was his contribution. But he figured because it was released on his label, that music became his property, and it was trying to cut String Skull out. And it's like, dude, you literally, actually, no, he didn't even sing on it. He provided lyrics. That was his contribution. He wrote some lyrics for it, but he got to have a band photo, and he got to be listed in the credits. So I don't know. It's a weird deal. Like, it's almost like it's kind of like the Immortal thing, but almost worse in a way.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's why I like my little solo projects. I don't have to.
You don't have to share
intellectual property disputes with people. All right. So next up for me, I'm torn between these two. I'm going to go with Sulfur Aeon. I think I only have 3 records. The one I've been listening to is The Scythe of Cosmic Chaos. All their stuff is good. This one, just for whatever reason, for me, is the most memorable. This is like German death metal. I think it's all about Lovecraft, which is like an instant, instant win for me. I'm going to be very interested in any project that has Lovecraft or cosmicism or any of that crap in the descriptors. I mean, this is just death metal. I rarely, I like death metal. I don't keep up with the genre, and I rarely listen to bands that are just death metal. Usually I'm listening to like black and death metal or something, more adjacent to black metal, but it's just death metal. It's very, I don't know. I mean, proggy isn't the right word, but they're technically proficient musicians, and it's well produced. It's almost the antithesis of a lot of the stuff I usually listen to. But yeah, I mean, this is just a great record. It's super catchy. It's just really heavy, sort of dissonant death metal. The album art is also amazing, super evocative. I'm glad you have that one too. Yeah, I mean, amazing album art. It's incredible, and looking at the album art while listening to the record is just like, it feels very immersive. I've never seen this. Oh man, that's cool. I love that. I love this band. I hope they release some new music soon. But yeah, I mean, this is a great record. All their stuff is good, but yeah, this one's been getting some love from me recently.
That's funny. You picked. I almost picked one of theirs for this because they got a new record about to drop. Oh, you want mute?
I'm muted. Yeah, that is excellent news. And I think between them, Bluthaus Nord, and then there's another Lovecraftian record coming out this year. So yeah, I'm gonna have my hands full with that stuff. That's awesome. I'm really glad they're releasing new music soon.
Thank you for reminding me to listen to them, because they've one that pops up all the time. Like I see their LPs up on sites that I look up all the time, and I'm like, man, why haven't I listened to that? Because I'm also a big, anything that's got Lovecraft attached to it, like I'm gonna dig it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think I've listened to one of their albums once, and it doesn't make any sense why I don't know their stuff really well.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to keep up with. So I'm glad I could put that back on your radar, because it's well worth your time.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan.
Great band. Yeah. Cool. Russ?
Okay. I'm starting to run a little low on albums here, but this is one that I've been listening to nonstop. It's not new. It's the band. The band is one of our friends, Vendrion Siviatra's other project, and Ockles. Sorry, I'll put that in the chat. I have no idea. I don't think this is Polish word. That's the. Sorry, there should be a space there, but Ockels. I don't know. I have no idea what that is, what that means, or anything. The lyrics are in Polish, but that name and the album title is not Polish. But yeah, so this is one of his other projects. This one is, I guess, between Vendrionce and like Stvolge, this is like kind of like a halfway. I would say it's more of like a stripped down version of Vendry. God, it's such a pain to say Vendrionce Viatra. Kind of a stripped down version. Not a lot going on these albums. Just very atmospheric black metal. I don't know, hard to describe it. There's not a lot, just a lot of repetitive riffing, I guess. There's the songs, they don't have much to them, and this probably isn't like making them sound that good, that great of an album. But the riffs are very good, but it's just very repetitive. The songs are, about 7-8 minutes, I think. They can get quite long, but just very, very riff centric songs. Not much to them, just awesome riffs. Very, again, more, kind of trance inducing riffs. Maybe sounds a little bit like old Drudk, kind of Autumn Aurora days. I think it's pretty similar to that. But if you like Vendrionce Viatra, you would prefer this to his Tvolge project. This is more similar. But yeah, they're just 2 albums. Just hypnotic stuff. Just can't stop listening to it. It's great. Not much else to add. I don't know if Tyler, if you've gotten into this project of his or not, but
I actually have both the albums.
Yeah.
I buy pretty much everything that this dude puts out that
Yeah.
I can find. I have them somewhere in my, my Doom piles and my drawers and my shelves. I have those albums sitting somewhere, but no, I like that project a lot. I think the newest, was that the newest of the 2?
The newest one is, dude, I don't even know what language this is.
Whatever
I
the
newest one. I prefer the newest one.
Yeah, the newest one is the one I prefer. I mean, they're both good, but the newest one I definitely prefer a little more.
The third song on the newest one is the opening riff is oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, it's just it's classic, densely atmospheric black metal.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, actually that's probably, Stwars is very Slavic centric, I guess, but as far as what you consider to be Slavic black metal, like this project is probably more closer to what like a stereotypically Slavic black metal, and just in the big droning riffs and the atmosphere that it creates, and really long songs, but like 3 riffs and like a 10-minute song type of thing.
No, I know, totally. That's what it sounds like sometimes, but they're so good. Like,
it's so good. And I think it's his most, like, it's very much his most nature centric. Like it's very like,
it's like anti-civilization, I think he describes it.
Yeah, it's like
I just saw that anti-civ, anti-tech black metal. So.
Yeah. It's very much like go back to the roots type of stuff. No, it's good. I like it a lot. I still think Stwars is my favorite of the
Yeah.
of those projects, but I like that one. I like all of them. I mean, fuck, who am I kidding?
Yeah, it'd be tough to rank them. I mean, this one's only like 2 albums, but yeah, they're all good. Yeah, he can't do no wrong. He can do no wrong.
This one
Yep.
looks particularly appealing, so I'll have to give this a listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, Russ, you've got a lot tonight that I can't wait to check out. And you've been kind of talking up a lot of cool stuff
We got
I've never
you
heard.
guys too.
Killer. All right, Dan.
Yeah, anti-civilization music. I can definitely get behind that, and we'll definitely be checking that out. I think my next thing is not new, but I would say anytime you find a reason to be even more excited about a musical hero, I think it's worth talking about. And I will just say that I have listened to the album Spiritual Healing by Death like probably 5 times in the last couple of days. And the impetus for that was actually happening upon a podcast series. And it's a larger podcast, but it's the Into the Combine podcast. I don't know if any of y'all know this or listen to this podcast.
I've heard
Oh,
of
yeah,
it.
I listen to them sometimes. They're good.
Yeah, I had heard of them for a long time, but I'd never really listened. I think I'd maybe listened to one thing, and I didn't really care for the manner of discourse that was happening on the particular episode that I was listening for. But they've done like 4 or 5 episode series on death, and again, like I'm not super crazy when it's just the dudes from the podcast talking like the way they talk about the albums. I mean, it's fine, and they've got some interesting things to say. But I know those albums really, really well. Like that's one of my favorite bands. Chuck Schuldiner is like absolutely one of my musical heroes when it comes to metal for sure. But the interviews are actually great. They've done like really candid long form interviews with like Chuck sidemen like throughout the history of the band. Like I started off listening to episodes that were just interviews with Steve DiGiorgio and Chris Reifert. And they're really, really great interviews. And obviously the stuff around the spiritual healing era, when Chuck for the first time just like really like he had a band and he completely scrapped the entire band, and the interviews with like Rick Ross and Terry Butler and James Murphy from that era are really, really interesting. Hearing how those guys talk about their experiences with Chuck. And then like today, I just listened to an episode about Human. Had interviews with Paul Masvidal and Matt Harvey from Exhumed and Gruesome, who's obviously huge, like he's a scholar of the band and has played with Death to All, has his own project focused on like leprosy era stuff called Left to Die, that also features Rick Ross, who played on Leprosy. Just like really, really good interviews. The guy from the podcast that does the interviews, like he's got a really good vibe in interviews, and like he gets a lot of really cool information out of the dudes. And it's obvious that they're really enjoying talking and responding to the questions that he's asking. So, I don't know if any of you, Jimmy, I know you're a huge fan of Death, but if anybody's interested in that, and those are all icons. Yeah, such great cover art, absolute classic, really great songs, and that is the transitional album for that band. And I've gained more of an appreciation. It's always been kind of like I've always been a huge Symbolic was the first death metal album I ever bought. And I got it right after it came out, and it's huge and Human Individual Thought Patterns. But I've started to get more into the earlier stuff. Like I've always liked that stuff a lot, but I've always held it in a different place from the more progressive technical stuff later, which is kind of my bread and butter. But it's cool hearing these guys talk about it, because it's a very atypical band situation, because it basically became a solo project. And hearing these guys talk about their experiences with Chuck is really, really cool.
Yeah, those guys did I think they did a series, and they had like Andy LaRocque, and they had
Yep.
Hoagland.
Gene Hoglan's on there too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm. And anytime you have an opportunity to hear Hoagland talk, he's like just the most dynamic guy to listen to. Like he's as dynamic as he is a drummer, as a speaker. You know.
Yeah. He's got a charisma about him for sure. The Giorgio Mostadal and Chris Reifert interviews are also really awesome. Like just like they're. I mean, I appreciate it because like so often in metal publications, all the stuff that has to do with the actual musical nuts and bolts gets cut because I feel like most writers about music are not actually musicians themselves, or many of them, and so they just assume their readers aren't interested in that kind of stuff. And in these interviews, they actually, they don't shy away from stuff about actual musical creation, which I appreciate because that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah,
highly recommended.
Yeah. I mean, that's like you said, definitely a transitional record.
Yeah, it's the one.
But like it's almost like
one.
there's no death record that ever gets really overlooked. It's like they're all so scrutinized these days, like and rightfully so. I mean, it was great, but yeah, for sure. That's one I haven't really gone back to in a while, and going to be going back
to the title track, Within the Mind. Those are
Within the Mind is the one,
great tunes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Within the Mind is the one that kind of hinted at where they were going next.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
So real quick spot check, guys. I mean, since we're getting close to 3 hours, I think I've still got like 2 more. How many do you guys have? Do you want to just maybe just go through the rest of the picks and we'll call it a night? I mean, maybe we can like reconvene like another night and do like a hiking episode or something like that. Like I wanted to like talk some hiking as well, but I don't want to go 4 or 5 hours tonight. And I know a couple of you guys got to jump off pretty soon. So you guys, does everybody have like 2 more or whatever it is? You want to just power through like the last few picks and then we'll call it? Or
yeah, that's good. I only have one more, but I'm gonna have to jet in a second.
Okay. Well, Ryan, you want to go ahead and do your pick, and then
that's okay.
Yeah, I'll let you go.
That's fine.
Cool. Well, I'll end kind of on a whimper here because this is also not a metal album, and I don't actually have too much to say about it. But I've recently gotten very into post-punk / dark wave / cold wave stuff that's influenced by like Bauhaus and The Cure and stuff like that. There seems to be a little renaissance going on in Texas, of all places, for this genre, which is a little strange to me. But a newer band that I've been very into lately is a band called Twin Tribes. It's a duo. It's goth music. It's very much not metal, but it's still very cold. It's I mean, I don't want to push it too much, but I think it has maybe a similar atmosphere to black metal. It's cold and sort of sterile. Yeah, there they are. You can see they've got the full makeup and goth regalia. It's very esoteric inspired music, definitely. I think that's probably another similarity to black metal. But yeah, I mean, just musically, like these guys have really, really great melodic ideas. And dark wave can get a little samey. Once you've listened to a lot of these bands, you kind of, in my opinion at least, you kind of start to hear a lot of similarities and a lot of recycled ideas. But I don't know, something these guys are doing is like really fresh, and it's really captivated me this year. And it's a great it's something I reach for if I'm not in the mood for metal, which shame to say has been happening more this year than usual in the past couple of years. So yeah, this has been like a nice breath of fresh air. It scratches a similar itch in the sense that it's cold and still deals with dark themes, but it's not just relentless musical aggression. There's it's more on the like sad and sort of introspective side. So yeah, this is really cool if you like sort of like romantic style music, or if you're already acquainted with dark wave, if you like new wave stuff and just kind of are familiar with the style of music. This is a record I would definitely recommend. It's called Ceremony by Twin Tribes.
Nice.
I was gonna say they almost kind of look like Tears for Fears a little
bit.
Yeah,
I mean, 100%, like very intentionally, that's what they're going for sure. Just
like even the guys, like it looks like the two brothers.
Yeah, I mean, the guy on the right has that type of haircut, like that's 100% their lineage, and I think they've done it in a way that's modernized it and made it, very interesting and very engaging. And it's I'll have to check that out. Thank you for the recommendation. Yeah, it's very modern, and it's darker. It's a more distilled form. Like a lot of you listen to The Cure and they have happy songs, they have poppy songs, and this newer wave of, well, it's sort of redundant, but this newer wave of dark wave bands really have distilled it just into like the dark aspects of the genre, and that's I really appreciate that. That makes it very I don't know. It scratches the itch. I've said that a lot, but it really just does something for me. So yeah, that's my final pick.
Right on, brother.
Ooh, all right. Well, it has been incredible. I have 12 hours of new music to check out, so I'm gonna be busy tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, let's schedule a hiking chat, and we'll,
yeah, we will
knock the second part out. Cool. Well, I look forward to hearing the rest of your recommendations tomorrow.
What was
Good
that
to see
last
you,
one
Ryan.
you said, Ryan? What was the name
The
of
last
that?
record,
Yeah.
Ceremony by Twin Tribes.
Got it.
Highly recommended. Very, very good music.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, I will catch you gents later, and I appreciate everyone who has hung out and listened to us all ramble about stuff we're very into. So, cool.
Cheers, Ryan, dude. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers. Yep.
Later, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Peace.
Everybody else okay? Just go through a couple more.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I may want to go ahead and throw mine out just because it's almost 1 here.
Yeah, almost 1 o'clock for
not
you.
Not that I'm in a hurry to run off, but
no, that's all good, man.
Like
let's
emotionally, but I'll just go ahead and do my two. They're both second albums by death metal bands that came out this year that I've been listening to and enjoying quite a bit. The first is by a Pennsylvania band called Outer Heaven. Their second album, Infinite Psychic Depths, came out this year. It's definitely I would say a step up from the first album. Really continuing on down a very promising path. They're kind of adding, they're doing the classic death metal thing, adding more elements, better solos, more. I wouldn't say it's like we're being more extreme in every way, but it's like, I would say they're just taking things. They're progressing. So I'm really digging that, and I'm actually kind of surprised that Jimmy hasn't brought this one up. But the new album by the band Void Ceremony, what is that one called? Threads of Unknowing, which has an awesome album cover, and I appreciate it because even the title of the record has like a cool logo to it on the cover, and it's a very progressive record with incredible solos. All right. Well, maybe I'll help segue for you. Super cool, great solos, awesome bass playing. Again, similar to the Lunar Chamber album we talked about. And I've only listened to it a few times, but it's one of those that I knew within first listen. It's like this is killer. So as I kind of get into a groove with what I'm doing right now, I'll probably turn to it even more. But yeah, another good year for death metal for sure.
Yeah, I mean, since I'm next, I would certainly call this one out. It's amazing because it's like freeform jazz meets death metal. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's very dissonant and angular, but it's kind of an all-star cast as well. It's like this one, the main guy, he's got like a whole bunch of amazing musicians. It's like there's the lead guitarist who forget the guy's name, but he's played Phil Tugas, I think his name is. He's played in Cathedralist. He played on the most recent Worm album or EP. He's played what's that? First Fragment.
First
That's
Fragment,
like
yeah.
techno band. Yeah.
That band is insane.
Yeah, and then the bass player Damon Good. He's the Mournful Congregation guy. Crazy fretless bass. The drummer, I know he plays like in Halder and I don't know, whole Ascended Dead, a whole bunch of other bands. But yeah, this is literally like it's like when you listen to it, it almost seems like they're just improvising everything. It's free form jazz, but done in like brutal, dissonant death metal. I mean, that's what it is. It's so killer, and all the solos have song titles. Just like Carcass Heartwork. I mean, Necroticism. It's just badass, dude. Yeah, great pick, dude, for sure.
Very, very over the top.
Sounds like a tough nut to crack for me, but intriguing.
If you like, if you know, like Gorguts, just like dissonant, like those kind of bands, like you have to be kind of special for me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like we were talking about summoning, it has to.
Yeah.
I just want to go listen to Gorguts, but they don't really sound like Gorguts. It's just they have that kind of sort of dissonant, weird kind of style to it. But yeah, dude, it's like the closest thing you could find to fucking freeform jazz. Like, this is what these guys, like if you listen to Miles Davis, like Bitches Brew or something, it's like these guys took Bitches Brew and made it brutal death metal.
Yeah, that's a good comparison on the jazz side. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely not to a formula, which I appreciate, although I also really appreciate incredibly formulaic death metal. So, whatever. All right, I should probably peace out, y'all. It's been super awesome, and I look forward to getting back together and talking about hiking and stuff too, because I have a lot to talk about for sure.
We'll do it. We'll schedule something in a couple months for sure. We'll do a whole another episode just hiking, whatever.
Yeah, awesome. So great chatting with you guys.
All right, brother.
See you soon.
Yeah, awesome, fan. Thanks, man.
Take care.
All right. Yeah.
Later, bro.
All right. Well, you guys still good for a couple more? Or
yeah, I'll stay on. I got one more probably, but
I can rifle. I got a couple. I have a couple more that I can rifle through real quick.
Well, Void Ceremony was my next one. So Ty, why don't you go next?
All right. Well, we'll do a quick twofer. I put them in the chat in order what I'm going to do because I'm not going to try to pronounce either one of these, especially this one. So Slovakian band, you guys have seen me ham this band up in the chat a lot. Strahor, I don't know how you pronounce that. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce the Slovakian album title. I just do know it does translate to Where Wolves Howl. And this album, like, it's going to be no surprise that I have to spam this album. Like, people need to know about this album. This is going to be like a top 3 to top 5 album at the end of the year, hands down, no doubts. The dude behind it, this is like his 3rd or 4th full-length album and number of EPs, whatever. And he just turned 21 recently. Like, super young dude, amazingly technically proficient musician. I mean, it's very classic, second wave rooted black metal, very Slavic sounding black metal, especially the title track and the closing track on this. But there is a mean classic heavy metal streak that runs through this entire album.
Nice.
And it's like, it's so good. Every friggin' song is so damn catchy, and the melodies and everything is just, it's top notch. Like, it's kind of hard to believe that the dude is as young as he is. So I mean, he's only going to get better. Like, and it's super nice dude. Like, I became as I do. I become friends with like a lot of these musicians online, and I'm actually the first. This CD right here, this is the first one that he's ever sent to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
He was super pumped about that.
Really?
Yeah. But everything's self-produced. Like, these are pro-printed like CDRs. I mean, it's not even on a label. The dude needs to be on a label. Like, this needs label backing ASAP. And I will go as far as to say track 2, for those who follow the heart. like in our year-end discussion, if we talk about like favorite songs or like favorite anthems of the year, that's probably gonna be my fucking song, man. Is just such a fist pumping, head banging, awesome, like just it's a motivational track. Like I actually one of my last hiking videos, the West Sheep Mountain one, like that was my opening track on there. And it's just it fits. Like it makes me want to go fucking run up a mountain. Like it's so damn good. But like I said, it's very melodic, it's very catchy. He kind of goes on, he rips a couple pretty nice solos throughout. Like, I mean, and he does it all himself. I mean, it's a one-man band, but it's so good. And it's like, he's trying to get out there. Like he promotes this album a lot, but it's not on enough people's radars. And man, it's a shame. Like, I'm hoping that people will go check this out. Actually, Jimmy, if you want to put the English translated name, because you can find that on Bandcamp, so they don't have to try to type in Cyrillic to find the band name. Yeah, it's in the private chat on the here on.
You got me very excited to listen to this, Tyler.
Dude, man, like, and I've shared it in the group chat before.
I know you've been talking about it. I don't know why I haven't got to it, but
like I said, the opening track, like you're just like, okay, yeah, cool. Like, it's Slavic black metal and it's got cool folky elements to it. But then all the tracks in the middle, like I said, for those who follow their heart, is very like, it's very heavy metal driven. The next track after that, the Vampiric Sorrows, I'm gonna point to like, Triarchy of the Lost Lovers era Rotting Christ, like kind of that slower, mid-tempo, like really melodic type of thing. Dude's pulling all sorts of different influences, like, and obvious influences, but he makes it his own still. And it's so good. Like I said, like top 3 to top 5 guaranteed. You'll see this again on my year-end list. I'm not ashamed to admit it. And I will share this on every stream from here on out if I have to get people to acknowledge it. It's that good. Anyway, and then to move on to my next one, this is also one that I shared with you guys, but this came out like February this year. It's one of those albums that still has a lot of lasting strength for me. And the band is Morning Forest. I think you guys might recognize the album cover.
Yeah.
It's French. I mean, I'm going to butcher it, but Le Monde Maison, I think is how you pronounce it. And this is just straight up classic French black metal. It's not quite to the hyperactive melodicism of bands like Sunopfer or Vehemence or anything like that, but it's definitely in that vein. Like very blast beat driven, very melodic guitars. Just all the classic tropes of modern day French black metal. One thing that impresses me with this album is it has a really pretty, it's kind of an excessive playtime. Like it's over an hour, but they have this ability. Like I find myself like, I'll put this on as like a commute album from time to time. And I'll find myself like kind of zoning out, kind of, I don't want to say getting bored with the song, but like, song's kind of running a little long. And then just when I'm about to like skip to the next track, let's say, they come out with like the biggest, baddest riff that you'll ever hear. And then you're just sucked right back into the song and then you're all hyped about it again. So it's kind of a weird thing to compliment, but I actually really appreciate that. It's almost like they know, like they're probably in the studio, like, yeah, these fuckers are going to get so bored at this part. Now we're going to hit them with like this killer riff and bring everybody back, back to life, as it were. But this is another one I'm going to highly recommend. And this is probably also going to be like a top 10 album for me, because it's one of those albums that just had from the beginning of the year that still has lasting power that I'm still pulling out and listening to on a pretty regular occasion.
Sweet.
Awesome.
All right, Russ, you got any more?
Yeah, well, I'll just do one more. Kind of a curveball here. I'm gonna bust out a Dungeon Synth album. We're late. It's late, you know. It's a perfect time for it. This is Forgotten Relic, Cult of the Jewel Dagger. That sounds fun. This is like a specific genre of dungeon synth. It's dungeon doom. I don't know if you guys are familiar with. I know Jim, I know you listen to some dungeon synth, but yeah. So this is dungeon doom. I don't know if you know if you've heard of the originator kind of the genre is Ghost.
GOST.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Ghost. So
kind of like Ghost. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. This is just a compilation. So yeah, it's just kind of like very slow, like boom, boom, like the same kind of beat, slow beat throughout the whole songs. Usually, to doom, I guess, doom metal version of dungeon synth. But anyways, yeah. So anyways, that's like kind of the beat that goes through all the songs. Yeah, it's just dungeon synth. Besides, just atmospheric and kind of a hazy atmosphere to it. Not too lo-fi at all. I don't think I wouldn't describe it as lo-fi, but yeah, it's just a new album by this. I don't really know how to talk about dungeon synth that much, but yeah, it's a really cool late night album.
Do they have a Bandcamp? I can't even find anything.
Yeah, some of it. Yeah, it's Forgotten Relic. If you can't find that, sometimes a lot of these artists, they have like so many different projects. This person does have a lot of different projects. Really, some really good stuff. Quite prolific. But this specific one, yeah, there's a Bandcamp. I can put the link in comments. But you just want some like late night chill dungeon synth, doom dungeon synth, then check it out. I highly recommend it. I listen to a decent amount of dungeon synth, and like you were saying earlier, like a lot of it's you really got to wade through like a lot of it, but this one is high quality stuff. It's very enjoyable.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Cool art.
That sounds super interesting.
I don't know if I've ever heard like any doom in dungeon synth. It's always kind of.
I think honestly, I think it just refers to just like the beat they use. The drum beat they use, just kind of like the slow plodding beat throughout all the songs. Just a slower tempo, but yeah, super hypnotic. Yeah.
Cool. Wish listed. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, random pick, but yeah, it's something I enjoy a lot. So
cool. And also that latest Olshano is really killer.
Oh, what is that?
That latest is it Olshano or Olshano?
Oh yeah,
very cool stuff.
Yeah, God, I've listened to it once, and I haven't listened to it recently. The Russian kind of like folk synth black one that I think I picked them last year. Yeah,
it's really cool. Yeah, I mean I like the last one, but the new one is really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I need to check that out.
Yeah, put it up
there. Which project?
It's Olshano.
Yeah, like Olshano something. Yeah, I think it was in my top 10 last year. I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, if their first album was straight up like dungeon synth, and then they started playing like this really atmospheric, folky kind of, but like I don't know, weird black, like chill kind of black metal. It's hard to describe. You really have to listen to it, but it's definitely got a certain vibe to it.
Very hard to describe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Kind kind of even got like kind of a shoegaze kind of thing.
Yeah. Same kind of like the
But
production and the sound.
It's definitely got a black metal vibe, but it's I don't know. Yeah, it's really hard to
A
pinpoint.
lot of folk instruments.
folk.
Yeah, it is
That's
hard to
Shana.
describe though.
Mhm.
Nice.
Well, right on, guys. I think let's call it. I mean, I had a couple other ones, but they're nothing really crazy to talk about. Nothing that you guys wouldn't know. I think, like I said, I wanted to try to keep this like kind of around 3 hours. So I kind of figured it was weird, Tyler, because I thought like the black metal stream we did, it was like everybody had 10 releases, and it was like 9 people, and we like somehow managed to get through like 10 releases in like 4 hours, maybe, or 5 hours or something like that. Yeah.
Well, Jeff kind of established right from the get go, and is like,
Move fast, yeah.
So like I think that like the first at least 3 or 4, like we were like, yeah, this album, like I brought this, it's obvious choice, it's classic, blah blah. Next,
Yeah.
like
I got his style, yeah.
but later, but as it got later on, we got to the later picks, it kind of expanded a little bit, but yeah, like he was very much like, he's like, I don't want to be doing an 8-hour stream, like we're gonna rip through these, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah.
I mean, I don't blame him. That was a crowd, dude. That was quite the crew.
It went really well, surprisingly. Like I thought it was going to go forever, but I mean, it did. I mean, it was fair. It went, everybody
I got through the whole stream. I think it was a cool stream. Yeah,
dude. We just somebody needs to do a stream and just feature Peter and just have him.
Yeah, he needs his own YouTube for sure.
God, man, like I was saying before we got on, like, I thought I was kind of versed in like my 90s black metal, and then he was pulling out stuff, and I was like,
yeah.
I mean, it was like the underground of the underground type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had like, he was like, yeah, I had like 50 of these releases that were all between 93 and 95 that I had to pick from. And it was like, it was all shit like that. It was all like that, just super obscure, but super cool stuff. Like, man, hats off.
Oh, yeah, I enjoy following him on
dude.
Instagram. He always has some random stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll listen to that.
Yeah, he's been told quite a few times, dude, you need to start a channel and go through your collection. So yeah, I know he's like hinted at he's probably gonna watch this too. I don't know if he'll get through the whole thing, but dude, like we said, you got to do it, man. It's your channel will do very good if you do it. So.
Well, especially amongst like all the collector nerds, like they're just gonna be like, I mean, like I said, he starts with those 10 picks that he had on that last stream with Jeff, and like the super cult black metal guys are gonna be like, what in the fuck is this? Like,
yeah, and he's got like first pressings too, like a lot of his CDs. It's just cool stuff.
Yep. But
right on, guys.
All right, guys.
We had I think we had like close to 20 people at one point. So anybody that tuned in, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Yeah, we'll come back. We'll do a full hiker episode next time. I think most of the people that watch this want to see the metal stuff. I mean, they're not as interested in the hiking shit, but I don't really care, man. I mean, because it's
just be for us.
Yeah, and I mean, like, again, this channel is about both. So I mean, like, even if it's just us, this is a way for us to all kind of collaborate and talk. So I'd love to come back. Why don't we maybe like plan something like in the fall, when the season's kind of over, we can come back and kind of maybe just share some hiking adventures, some pictures and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Good idea.
Cool.
Yeah. I got to get all those photos up from that last trip I was on. That's the one problem with Instagram is like to post all the photos I want to post, I'm gonna have to make like 10 to 15 separate posts to like post all the pictures I need to post.
Yeah.
It's daunting. So it's like, do I just break it up by day and just like, we did this, and then this day part 2 we did this, like, because each day we were back there, we all did different shit, and it was. But anyway.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, it's like I'll try to just pick the one pick or whatever, and it's impossible to pick. I mean, the best one is like it's always going to be 5 to 10 like really great ones that Yeah, I mean, like I got to the point to where it gets overwhelming, and it's just like I almost just don't even post anything at all sometimes because it's just like, oh,
True.
gotta go through these and make it look good. But
Yep, exactly. So,
right on, you guys. You rock. Thanks for
Wow.
coming on.
Hey,
This
thanks
was
for
a lot of
having me,
yep.
Jimmy.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, got a lot of homework to do for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Take it easy, guys.
Yep. Later, guys.
Great night. Anybody came out? Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers. See you next time. Cheers, guys.